stop by for the Nintenbyte. You got the Triforce and it feels right. Like Bowser, you can listen all night, singing peaches until the sunlight. Summer shooter beam so bright. Master hand always brings a fight. Catch 'em all and use that fire blast. Put the soul back to visit your past. Welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Nintenbyte Podcast. We got, what is this, episode 22, I believe. Pretty fun. We got a lot of people here on the show. Let's go ahead and introduce our guests. We got Super Metal Dave 64 in the house. How's it going, man?
Going good, man. Thanks for having me. Excited to talk about Switch 2.
Yeah, lots of Switch 2. Again, what a shocker, everyone. It's like all my channel talks about these days. Nope. We talked about something else today, but it's also on the podcast. We have Mike Odyssey on the show. Also known as the host of Indie Mania. You're an IGN E-famous now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Game Junction.
What's up? How's it going?
There we go. We got, hey, you're not the one with the tech issues this week, so that was good.
That's good. Yeah.
We're just passing it around.
Yeah, right.
Eric Moore on a brand new camera.
Yeah, right.
Dedicated camera. How you doing?
Looks good.
Gosh. We got Thunderstash Gaming.
What's up, everybody? Happy to be here. Excited for Zelda tomorrow, as I'm sure everybody else is.
Mm-hmm. And I'm the host with the most, the most flair. Definitely probably the most shots in YouTube history. That's for sure, among this group. Let's go ahead and get to our topic roulette here. We got, 4 topics. So let's, who's going to go first? Let's have, any volunteers to go first?
I'll go first.
All right,
I'll pick a topic first.
Mm-hmm.
I will pick the topic of what is gaming pricing going to be like on the Switch 2?
Ooh,
This is going to be interesting. Yeah.
It's a good topic. Let's see what happens. Especially with the third parties, man. They're going to be all over the place.
Yep.
All right. Eric, why don't you pick a topic, man? Before they're all gone.
Yeah, I know, right? Help if I would have read this beforehand. Let's do, I guess, the Switch 2 madness continues.
Oh, sure. Going to take the big topic. All right.
Why not?
I love it. Eric's taking the big topic because he knows I'll probably have to take over for
it.
Game Junction.
Yeah, we'll go with Nintendo makes a stand against AI.
Oh, boy. That leaves me with the dealer's choice. It's going to be a tough one since I was struggling to come up with topics today. That's all right, though. You know what? I'm going to throw it to the chat. Someone from the chat's going to help me out with a topic. Someone's going to super chat in a topic tonight. I just know it. That's what's going to happen.
There we go.
So just you guys super chat in topic ideas. One of them might make it in for the end of the show. We'll see. You guys could also super chat in if you want to get featured in our Q&A section as well, and we'll feature your comments if it's happening during a relevant conversation that we're having in the moment. That being said, let's go ahead and get into this show. And Thunderstash, what are we talking about for topic number 1?
Okay, so this should be interesting, guys. Now, obviously, there's a lot to be said about video game pricing and the direction that it's going in. And then the future direction, right? Like there's always that conversation about the new GTA and how much that's going to cost. We're not going to so much get into that. But of course, we all know that Nintendo felt it was appropriate to release Tears of the Kingdom as a $70 game, right? And they did note that each game would be priced individually. And then if you look at kind of like the industry standards for AAA games on other consoles, it's typically $70 for a standard edition of the game. And even yesterday, I was watching the State of Play, and then shortly after that, the pricing came out for Monster Hunter Wilds, and it was $69.99, or if you buy the Steelbook edition, which I don't know about you guys, but anytime I've got a Steelbook edition of something, it's a pre-order bonus. But in this scenario, the only one who put up the pre-order so far was GameStop, but it's $70 for the base game, and then if you want the Steelbook version, it's $74.99. Okay, so they've never passed that on to the consumer as far as a pre-order, to my knowledge. If they have, maybe it's been once or twice, but 9 times out of 10, the pre-order bonus is going to be the Steelbook, right? So that was interesting, and that definitely caught my eye. I'm like, okay, we're slipping in a little bit of extra money there, passing that on to the consumer. Good that we're still getting a Steelbook, but $75 now. Okay, your choice, of course, if you want to do that. And then, of course, there's other scenarios, right? Like when a game comes out on Switch at a later date, sometimes you can pick up the game on PlayStation or Xbox for like $20 at retail. But then it's released on Switch for the first time and it's full price. And then there's also the term that's been coined, and I think we've all experienced it, the Switch tax, where a game is more expensive just because it's on Switch. Now, of course, there's reasons behind that, and one of the reasons could be the cartridge. I don't know the exact breakdown of the cost of the cartridge and all that, but many times a game has been more expensive on Switch than it is on other consoles, even if they come out the same day. So if it's a multi-platform release, the Switch version is more expensive. So it's going to be interesting because my thought was, and another part of this was seeing that release date for Monster Hunter Wilds, February 28th. Because I know, to my knowledge, that's a game that we're all kind of banking on coming to Switch 2, right? And we finally got the release date yesterday. And so I saw February 28th, and I'm like, I wonder if that's going to be anywhere around when Switch 2 comes out. Obviously, we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But that game's $70, right? And so if we expect to get that on Switch 2, which again, it sounds like that's our expectation, the first question would be, before we get into some of the other kind of bullet points here, is, are you guys prepared to spend $70 on a Switch 2 game? Possibly more. That's the thing, is like, okay, wait. So for right now, today, games come out multi-platform, and they're more expensive right now on Switch 1. What happens if we get multi-platform games that come out day one that are $70, but they're more on Switch, like $75 or $80?
Well, that's interesting. I'm personally ready because I think Nintendo's been laying the ground already. We're giving us Luigi's Mansion a remake at $59, right? So they're setting the new standard for these, I would say, lower tier games. Aside from Tears of the Kingdom, which is I would say Nintendo AAA, game, like massive game, a lot of gameplay. So Nintendo's already been kind of pushing the prices up. That's why whenever Princess Peach was also $59, right?
Yeah.
Princess Peach at the time, so and that's not a major Nintendo game. It's not a major Mario game. It's a little sidekick there. And so I think that's Nintendo's baseline for their lower tier. Right, and I think every single multiplayer kind of falls into that as well, like Mario Kart and all that stuff, into that tier. And then the bigger games, the open Mario games, the Legend of Zelda big games, not the 2D top-down 2D, and then open world. I think there's 2 worlds in Zelda, and when it comes to Zelda, the next big giant open world game then might be $70 to $75. Who knows? But the top-down will be $59, and so. Yeah, I think Nintendo has already been laying the ground. Now, when it comes to third party games, they are already there. So just bringing it to Switch, I think it's because Nintendo Switch, maybe the development or the porting of the game is a little bit more trickier to make it work on the system. A lot of developers from third party games have said it's been challenging, and I think it's been challenging just because they've been building from the ground up for that console instead of building from the ground up for Switch, or maybe building on the ground up and on the way up. Okay, this is the port for Switch, and then take that port out instead of just kind of bringing that one down to the Switch. I guess it has to do with that. They might think they can charge a little extra, but I have a solution. Go indie. Indie, you'll never find a game for 70 or 80 or 90 bucks, maybe a rare one in the indie world. I got games like $1, $2, $3. There's crazy open world action adventure games, and you'll find it like 19 bucks, right? Zelda caliber game for 20 bucks. So it's a good way to build your library when it comes to saving money.
Absolutely. Okay. Super Metal Dave, what do you think, man?
I think it depends on the game, on the profile of the game, and plus if it's a remaster or if it's an older port. Mm-hmm. A lot of times these companies have gotten away with charging $60 for older ports on Switch just because no one's ever played it on the go before. So it depends on the type of port it is that they're doing, and if it's day and date, I can't see a AAA third party charging more for their version on Switch 2. I think they'll have an across the board pricing, but I do think they'll be charging $70 just like everyone else. And depends on the Nintendo first party game too. I think they would also charge $70 for a brand new next generation mainline Mario and the next Zelda. I think they will charge $70 for those. But yeah, like the quote unquote lesser games, like Kirby, Yoshi, they'll probably charge $60 for those. But AAA third party ports, I can't see them charging $80 for a Switch 2 port, because technically it'll still be inferior graphically, yes, it's the portable aspect that's great, but people have already been experiencing that for it's going to be nearly 10 years by the time Switch 2 comes out. So that is great, but I think just the aspect of them having the port the games on the system, they want to get all that money up front. I don't see why they would overcharge and just have it, kind of segregated their own pricing, and then people just gravitate to buy maybe the PlayStation version since it costs too much on the Switch 2. I see a blanket cost more so for everybody.
I can see that. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping they're not going to pull out the Switch tax for Switch 2, especially when it's a day and date multi-platform. I really can't see them doing it, and especially in that scenario. That would not be a good move.
Okay. What games in particular have they done though? Because I've never heard of that. Like when a game ported to Switch being more expensive.
Oh man, so many.
Was it Skyrim?
Red Dead 2, right?
One of those.
Red Dead 1. Yeah, the first Red Dead. Well, what they mean by the Switch tax, Mike, is I think they mean like the game's $20 everywhere else, but it's here.
Mm-hmm. But because it's been out for a while everywhere else, right? Is that what it is? Okay, so yeah.
But even like the re-releases are still like even cheaper than.
Oh.
Yeah, and like some scenarios, a game will come out on like day and date, like currently right now, it'll come out on PlayStation for $29.99.
That'll be
$34.99 or $39 on Switch.
Now, the reason that was given for a lot of that just over the years has been that the cartridges are more expensive. Mm-hmm. And the thing is, the cartridges aren't going to get cheaper. They're going to use, newer technology, bigger cartridges. It's going to be kind of comparable, I would think, if not more expensive, especially with the way inflation kind of spiked over the last handful of years. So I think that you're going to look at this situation where one of two things are going to happen, or both. One, a lot of AAA third parties might just go digital only on the platform. You can only buy it on the eShop, $70, because they don't got to worry about the cost of the cartridges then. And if they think their game's good enough, and 60% of sales right now on Switch, at least in this current fiscal year, according to Nintendo, has been digital. If they think that's going to increase and be 70, 80, start approaching like PlayStation levels where it's like 80 to 90% of all sales are digital, they might go, it ain't worth us worrying about the physical, and we'll just sell for 70 and call it a day. Or if they do physical, they might do one of these things where some of them, especially the bigger ones where they're going to need like a massive cartridge, and that's assuming that they even put it all on the cartridge, right? They might just make it download most of it. But if there is even still a physical, they might go, look, we're not going to upcharge you for the physical. We're going to make it a collector's version or a steel book or some other excuse where you can get it physically, but it's like $100. but we're going to give you extra stuff to make you feel like it's worth that $100 to have it physical, but otherwise buy it digital. And they kind of already sort of do that on the other platforms, except they still have the base version at $70 on a disc. But discs are so much cheaper, like, pennies. So, whereas like if they're buying like a 64 gig cartridge, I mean, that could be like $20 for them to even have that. So, they're not going to just eat into $20 in losses. They'll either just go straight digital, or they'll try to justify $100 price point by packing in stuff that costs them like nothing. Extra few skins or some dumb stuff like that. Which, by the way, they already have these $100 versions on the other platforms. So this isn't like a crazy thing to say. They just also still have the $70 physical.
Well, that didn't really work out too good for Ubisoft, right?
Well, I don't think anything is working out.
Nothing.
Let's be clear. The best news of the day was that they delayed Shadows, meaning that, I don't know if that's good news or bad news, because that means the game has problems already and you were going to launch it anyways.
Well, they apologized also for Outlaws being a broken mess, right? So and they charged $129 for that.
They're going back on their PC stuff. Now they're releasing everything day one on Steam, which really great. As long as they get rid of the Ubisoft Connect stuff, that's the only. If you put it on Steam, you got to get rid of that.
What I'm saying is that you can't be so arrogant that you think everyone's going to buy your $100 game at this point, especially in this economy. It's enough to spend $400 on a console. So I think a standard pricing should be like mandated at least by Nintendo to keep control over things. And just like, $69.99 for AAA games, great. And then Nintendo can do their own thing with their own first party games. But like just expecting people to buy your $100 game just because you're Activision. This is the first Call of Duty on the Nintendo platform. $100. I can't see them necessarily doing that. But there might be outliers. Maybe a Grand Theft Auto 6 Game of the Year edition. Even though it runs at 30 frames per second, or something like that, they could probably get away with it.
They might even launch it at 100 to take advantage of all the early adopters. Like that's out there right now because it's so popular. They probably would end up getting away with it.
I say case by case basis. I can't see any like standard $100 pricing.
Totally fair. Like when I know how expensive the cartridges are, Nintendo doesn't have to charge third parties that. They can eat the losses a little bit themselves. I know they don't want to, but like Nintendo, you are taking a 30% cut of their profits on the game. You could just eat the cartridge and maybe only make 15%. But yeah.
Eat the cartridge. That sounds interesting.
Literally eat it.
Yeah, I know. I was saying the same thing.
Lick it or lick it.
I would say Nintendo is the one charging them for the cartridges. So it's kind of like, you don't have to charge them as much. You could find a happy medium. And of course, that's going to make Nintendo want to push people to buy digital even more. But, it's all heading that way. Anyway.
There you go. GS in the chat. eShop music for Switch 2. They charge an extra $50 for the eShop music. Watch out.
Oh, it's great.
Game Junction, what do you think, man?
Yeah, it's hard to say, but I think that there's probably going to be some sort of because we've kind of sort of got a standard pricing, but kind of not at the same time. I think it's going to be a game by game basis. Of course, you got the potential of the cartridge costing more, so there's that to take into equation. It's really hard to say. I think it's just going to be, kind of third parties making the choice of what they want to do. There might be a $40 launch for a significantly older game, which does happen, frequently now.
Yeah.
But a $50 launch, because Nintendo even does it occasionally. So it's hard. I don't think there's going to be a particular standard pricing, but definitely I think the $70 for first-party Nintendo games, I think is going to be the standard.
I'm prepared for $70 on Mario, Zelda, possibly Metroid.
Metroid 4, yeah.
It's tough. It's tough to tell though. I mean, they just charged $40 for the Prime remastered, which was excellent, and then they remaster or remake or probably remaster other games like Luigi's Mansion. And they charge full price for that. Like Paper Mario, Thousand Year Door, that was more expensive. So
Donkey Kong Country Returns HD in January is $60.
Yet Prime was $40. So that's why I actually think it will it would be a game by game basis. Brandon and I or Game Junction, we were kind of talking about this the other day, but it's like, yeah, we expect it for Mario and Zelda. And then I think after that, I don't know that I can say I expect a certain price because, I mean, can you imagine paying $70 for Kirby for like a Yoshi game?
Right.
Yeah.
Forgotten
Yeah.
Land style game.
Yeah. I also
Yeah, Forgotten Land was great. Like that's a bigger game, but
Like
I
a
remember like
side-scrolling
Yoshi's
one,
Story coming out on 64 back in the day.
I also
And
think that the Metroid remaster, I think it was a season. I think it was like when I kind of see the entire picture and I'm like, okay, at some point between then and Luigi's Mansion or then and the next remake or remaster, they decided, okay, this is our new price point moving forward for remasters and remakes, and that's why they brought up $59 for Luigi's Mansion and stuff. So I think I'm like, okay, because when did it come out? Like 2021?
which one?
Metroid Prime remaster, right? 2021 was it?
2023.
23?
Yeah,
I was gonna say
last
Dave's gonna know the
February.
release date.
Last year. Wow, seems like forever now.
yeah. Don't be Jeff Grubb. He thought it was sooner than that.
Yeah.
Well, you thought that was 3.5 years ago? Where have you been,
I
man?
did, man.
Holy moly.
Well, even running Indie Mania, he aged like 5 years. Just
Oh
doing-
yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying though. Like it wasn't long ago. It really wasn't. So Prime comes out for 40,
Mm-hmm.
and then you jump up $20. And I actually would have expected them to jump to like 50 to that $49.99 spot. Not really the $59.99 spot, which obviously they did, and we just saw that with Donkey Kong, and we saw how the internet reacted to that. People were not happy. And it is what it is, right?
It's really a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Metroid, Nintendo knows, is not like a gigantic seller. Let's be honest. It's decent. It's good enough to keep around, of course, but like it's not like a Mario or a Donkey Kong or a Zelda. Even Donkey Kong doesn't even sell that much. But they know, since people haven't really played it much on the Switch, they skipped the Wii U stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They even skipped 3DS stuff because the 3DS didn't sell only a fraction of what DS sold. So like there's the Switch is just gigantic. So yeah, they're going to take advantage of all that stuff, and they're going to charge what they think they can get away with. And I think Metroid was a testing the waters kind of thing. They knew that they were going to get a certain amount of sales with that. So I'm pretty sure like Metroid Prime 4, I think they'll charge $60 for the Switch version, and then they might charge a $10 charge for the upgraded version on Switch 2 for like $70 if you buy it just for Switch 2. That's my take.
Yeah, I think that's a good take. I could definitely see that. And Brandon and I were kind of talking about this as well. And it was like, all right, what are the top tier games that we know are going to be 70? And we both mentioned, like, we threw out Donkey Kong, and then we're like, well, it's tough to say because I mean, we haven't got a new Donkey Kong since 2014, right? Tropical Freeze, like an actual new game. So can we consider Donkey Kong to be in that $70 tier when like you haven't even had a new game in 10 years? It's going to be 11 now next year. So it's like, I don't know if it's going to be 70 or not, but he's going to be in the Mario movies. So
Yeah.
They're doing it.
right. That's
They're charging $60 for an HD version of a
Oh, yeah,
3DS game. Like that's just
what's
like
$10 more.
Wii or whatever. Like that's just they're going. Here's the thing: Nintendo's trying to obviously build up the Donkey Kong IP. Like, and we have to remember in building up that Donkey Kong IP that like they, he's in the movies. It might eventually have his own spin-off movie. The theme parks, Donkey Kong, like they're treating it like it's a premium IP for them. So like anything that I would say any IP Nintendo has that thinks it's selling 5 million or more, they're going to charge 70. It just is what it is. Like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, 6 million plus. Okay, next 3D Kirby game is going to be 70. Animal Crossing is going to be 70. Splatoon is going to be 70.
Sure. Yeah.
Obviously, all the Mario, Zelda, Pokemon might even jump up in price to 70. So like a lot of the games we play will jump up the side. The question is really something like Metroid, which has never really done more than a little bit over 3 million. Are they going to risk that? I would say on the Switch 2 version in particular, having a $10 difference if it's cross-gen. Are they going to take that risk just because it's early in the gen? Test the waters with it because most of the sales will still be on Switch? for that game.
Possible.
Yeah.
You know, because that might be a testing waters for them. Saying like, oh, are people really going to buy it for 70 or double dip at 70? Because that's the one that's kind of like, yeah, Metroid's not a guaranteed big seller for them. So but it's also we know it's one of the most expensive games they've made. They've had to reboot development on it, AAA reboot development on it. So you know, like it's one of those that Nintendo sunk a lot of money into a game that they don't know if it's going to sell well. I hope it does. It's got to be excellent.
Yeah.
And then if it's excellent, I hope it sells well.
You know, I got another question now I'm thinking about. I think we all kind of expect Metroid Prime 2 and 3 to hit at some point before 4, or at least that's the hopes, I think. Now, since Prime 1 was a full-on remaster, and the rumors are that Prime 2 and 3 would be more of like a HD kind of cleanup.
Mm-hmm.
Are we still expecting those to come out at 40?
Nope. $39.
You know what I mean? Like, how are you going to charge for a more labor-intensive Metroid Prime 1 remaster, 40, and then like, and we just cleaned this up with some HD stuff, and you know, we didn't do as much basically, and we're going to charge 60 now for Prime 2 and 60 for Prime 3.
Maybe they'll do 30 for each.
That would be cool. I love that.
Combo them for 60.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think that's the move.
Yeah, if they're not putting in the same work as with Prime Remaster, you just combo it together.
They did the same thing with Crisis Remastered, Crisis 2 and 3 at least for the Switch. Those are both 30 each. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think you do a physical combo, and then you offer the combo, and then offer individual on digital. I think that's the way to go with
Yeah,
that.
I think that would be great. Like, I think
what I
that
hope
would be
they do-
preferred.
Yeah, what I hope they do is do a trilogy package eventually.
Yeah.
Have all three available. Like
that'd be
by the
nice.
time Prime 4 comes out, do like a Metroid Prime Trilogy HD edition for like $70. You know, you get all three games. And obviously Prime Remaster's already been out for like 2 years at that point, so you can discount it, you know. So
What if
you
they're-
have them each be $30 or something.
What if they're going to do something weird? We've seen Nintendo used to do this kind of weird stuff a lot in the past. What if they're just going to give you 2 and 3 when you buy 4?
Mm.
Do weird stuff like that. Like back in the day, you get Wind
Uh-huh.
Waker and you can get that collector's disc that had the other stuff. That were only for launch, for pre-orders. It wasn't like super expensive or anything. I wonder if like the reason we haven't had. I mean, I would have thought 2 would have dropped by now at some point.
Yeah.
And it didn't. So I'm like, what if they're just like, nah, we're going to actually try to increase 4 sales by saying, yeah, but you're getting 3 games.
Yeah, but this isn't the desperate Nintendo that they used to be.
No, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Iwata maybe.
But I don't think it's desperate. I think it's just trying to increase sales of that particular.
I mean, hey, I would love that, but yeah, like I just don't see them giving away free games like that, especially not Metroid Prime 2 and 3.
People let
I
you
can't
buy
see them being
individual,
free.
but if you buy 4, you just get them.
Yeah, I can't see that happening. I would love it though. Trust me, I would. I just don't see them doing that.
I mean, if they minimal effort it costs them like nothing. They're losing like no money. If they spent like $1 million to make those games in the HD, it's costing them like nothing. They're just doing it to increase sales of 4. They want people to
Sure.
buy 4.
I wish they would.
Want 4 to hit 10 million. I don't actually know if they wanted to hit 10 million, but I'm assuming they wanted to do more than 3. I just figure if you throw in some free games with it, people might be like, well, shit. If I don't like 4, I might like 2 and 3.
Yeah.
I mean, people still bought Metroid Dread without having anything given away for free, so that's the highest selling Metroid game. So
Yeah,
I would love to be. I love them to all
probably
be free,
cost-
but I just can't see it
I
happening.
think there's a
personally.
chance that this game cost $100 million to make with all the money they had to scratch. Dread did not cost that.
Listen, coming from a non-Metroid fan, I'm a Metroid fan, but I'm not a Metroid fan. Like I'm not into. I don't know the lore, but I like the gameplay. Metroid Prime 4 to me calls my attention so crazy, like a lot. Maybe because of the time it's been in development, and also because of that first trailer. I'm like, no, I need to get into that game. I need to play it. And so, how many people more like me who were not into Metroid saw that trailer there and they're thinking Switch 2? You know, they're also thinking Switch 2. I know it's going to come for Switch. It's announced for Switch, but maybe on Switch 2 it'll just be so much better, and they'll offer more with that. I don't see Furukawa giving anything away for free. That man is a money hungry guy.
Yeah.
But
you're spending $70. It's not free. Like, we gotta be clear. The games aren't free. You have to spend money to have them.
yeah, you're right. Yeah.
You're just increasing the perceived consumer value of that $70 that you're spending. But it might not have actually cost Nintendo that much money to throw them in. If the rumors are true that they put like hardly any effort into them. They're kind of just like HD, just like doing it on an emulator.
Yeah, I can see what Super Metroid, Super Metroid.
I mean,
Super Metroid.
Super Metal David said, I can see them what you guys suggested, a dual pack or even a triple pack for $70. That makes more sense because you're getting 3 games and then you're getting the big game that they're announcing. So yeah, I just don't see. I hope they do something for free. It'll be awesome.
But yeah, Mike's right though. That a lot of people got their attention, got struck with Metroid Prime 4's trailer because it looks so impressive. So I can see a lot of people just like trying out and buying Metroid Prime 4 with the Switch 2 just because how impressive it looks, and then they want to see what the system can do, and they know that's going to be a graphical showpiece kind of game. So I could definitely see them doing that, and seeing the sales increase just because of that, the hype.
I got even crazier. Remember when you used to get those magazines back in the day, and they came with the discs that had the game trailers on them?
Of course.
The trailer for the next big open world Zelda game is only available on the physical.
Like the gift card.
Oh Lord.
That would increase sales.
Yeah.
People would be like, what? They'd want to just to collect it. The Zelda fans would be all over that.
Yeah, they did that with GameCube a few times with some Zelda stuff, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's 2024. Somebody will buy it, dump it online. Nobody else will buy it.
No, do you know Zelda fans and the way we collect things? We're buying $300 Deku Tree Legos.
I mean, there is that.
Okay, we'll spend $70 just to have Nintendo's official release trailer on a cartridge. Yes. Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, Zelda fans will eat that shit up.
That's like the most
not to the tune of 30 million in sales, but you might get a couple extra million. Zelda fans are insane. And hey, if it gets them to try Metroid Prime, that's a win in my book. Of course, they'll probably leave it sealed because there'll probably a little sticker on the box or something that says included Zelda trailer.
Sure, why not? Incentivize.
Nobody opens it, so we never actually see if the trailer's
Look,
actually
I bought
on
the
there.
game digitally, but I bought it physically just because it has the Zelda sticker. I have to leave it sealed.
No, I could see them doing like for Metroid Prime 4. I could see them doing like almost like a collector's edition where they add $20 to it, and then they give you 2 and 3, and then or you could buy it 4 separately. And then finally, after like 3 months, they release 2 and 3 separately for like $30. So you could get it for $20 with 4 right away. Or they stop selling that then after 3 months, and they sell 2 and 3 separately for 30 or whatever it is. And whoops, you missed out on it.
So Eric, what do you think game pricing is going to be like on the system?
I think as long as there's still support for the original Switch, I don't think we're going to see much of a price change in games. It's once we kind of start phasing out the Switch, the original Switch, that I think that we'll kind of start seeing those
for third parties. That'll be like day one.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, unless Nintendo.
Call of Duty's not coming to Switch. There's a reason it's not on it this year. We're waiting for Switch 2.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, third-party games and every mainline Nintendo game is going to be on Switch 2, not coming to
like
Switch.
indie. I can see a lot of indie titles still going both for a while because there's a lot of sales to be had still.
Right.
Yep.
But I'm thinking it's kind of going to be holding pattern until they kind of start phasing out the original Switch, and once that happens, then you're going to start seeing a price hike. I can't tell you how much it's going to be, but it's I can see it happening once the Switch is phased out.
All right. Well, Eric, since you were talking, what's our next topic, buddy?
You know what? I'm going to actually give it to you.
What the?
Hold on, because I think I may actually have a topic at the end. So,
you mean he came up with a topic?
I might have.
Where in the rules does it say you can flip topics?
I'm making it up. I'm crispy now.
You're lucky you've been on this show since episode 1. You're lucky. All right, fine. Gosh, I wasn't ready for this now. I had everything not ready to go. Now I have to go
but now
introduce it.
Now you don't have to think of a topic.
No, but fine. Someone did super chat in a topic, by the way.
Oh, did they?
But
Oh.
it's okay.
Oh,
It's
well,
okay
I
because
mean-
the topic's actually covered in this topic anyway.
Oh, okay.
And they just didn't know that yet.
No, fair enough.
All right. So our next topic is Switch 2 madness continues. We kind of left it vague because, what are we talking about? Well, there's a lot of things that have been going on. Obviously, last week we had those leaks. We talked about it on the show last week. And yes, those the ones with the PCB and the actual Joy-Cons, as far as anyone can tell, professionals have looked at it. They're real. There's injection molding involved with the actual shells and the plastic and everything. You aren't faking injection molding. That could be like $50,000 for those molds. You're not. No one's spending that kind of money to do a fake. Plus the PCB and all the traces that are people zoom, like the traces are really there. It's not a fake PCB. So like that's not happening without spending good coin. So in the end, that stuff's real and it's from October of 2023. Okay, cool. It's a prototype. Whether or not all the features on it are there or not, like is that second USB-C port in the final version? Nobody knows because it was a prototype from 2023.
Yeah.
But some of the base ideas, like if the reason this exists is because it was for third-party manufacturers to make accessories, maybe that means that USB-C port is real because maybe they can make accessories for that. Or the press fit of the controllers, that could be a mechanism they needed to have so they can make third-party controllers, licensed ones, yada, yada, yada. So, okay, yeah, that stuff's probably legit. But coming off of that, there was other stuff that happened after the show. And one of them, let's go with my notes a little bit in the other direction here. One of them was this Chinese YouTuber who I really apologize for not learning how to pronounce their username. Mm-hmm. But she came out and apparently had the 3D CAD models for longer than when they appeared online and had a 3D model printed of it. And that's cool. And it gives us a good size comparison. I'm actually going to, in a little bit here, bring up better size comparisons. I'll show some images because her screen wasn't exactly right. She said it in the video. Her screen wasn't correct because she didn't have a big enough film to represent like the actual 8-inch screen. So I'm going to bring up some images by MJ or over on Family Boards. I'll link it in the chat as well if you want to go check it out. He's been making a bunch of mock-ups based on her models and looking really nice. So I'll bring up some of those comparisons in a bit. But the reason I bring that up is not just so we could have an actual look at what it looks like compared to a Switch OLED, just based on what we've seen, and what the dimensions are. Also, she brought up this thing that she apparently knows a feature about the system. She doesn't really know what it's for. She speculated what it's for, but she apparently knows something. And I don't know how. Don't know if she's got a boyfriend, works in the factory. I have no clue. But she apparently knows that there is going to be a camera module that you can plug in. She doesn't know what it's for. She speculates it might be for motion controls, for improved motion tracking, is what she suspects when it's docked, get improved motion tracking. But we talked about that, but it's kind of like, okay, we don't really, without directly talking to her, was that speculation or did she talked like matter of fact, but we don't really know because Chinese doesn't always translate perfectly to English. So we're relying on subtitles and all that stuff. So, right, like what did that really mean? Well, something interesting happened when Nintendo had a filing go public with the FCC that might support a little bit of this notion. And this FCC filing, which, Thunderstash has more information probably on it than I do. Did that AI ever get back to you?
Yeah.
You want to maybe talk about it a bit because this FCC filing is wild. It involves wireless signals and having to be plugged in through USB-C, no battery, using this millimeter wave stuff, which has been used in some motion tracking technology. So Thunderstash, well, he actually has there's a 50-page document. This is insane.
Oh, yeah. So I hit Nate up earlier today because I was looking at the notes, right, for the show, and I saw the FCC filing. And I saw the link that you had provided. Was that to, where was it to?
That was the Gaming Leaks in subreddit. Or something.
Yeah. So I saw the subreddit. I was like, okay. Clicked on that. And I looked at the picture that you had sent of the module. And I just looked at the FCC ID, went to the FCC's website, and did my own manual search, of course. And when I searched it on Google Chrome, which that's the browser I use, it said that I don't have access to view these files, right? Because, Nintendo put them up there. Like, okay, obviously I clicked all of them. There's 10 of them. Figured I'd give it a shot. Then I went to Edge, which I never use. So I went to Microsoft Edge and then went into an incognito mode and just figured I'd just try. We'll see what happens. And I was able to open all the documents and save them, oddly enough. So I have all the PDFs that were sent to the FCC. And so I was reading through them, and like one of the things that caught my eye, and if you want, I can pull up this picture.
Sure.
Let me pull it out here real quick because I got a folder with all this stuff saved. Because I was actually surprised I could access it, considering a couple minutes ago I couldn't on Chrome. So I'm like, okay, well, let me just save all this stuff just in case I do want to access it again and I'm not able to. So I have a folder, and yeah, here it is. So let me make this document bigger and then share screen, and we'll go window. Yeah, this one right here. Okay. Yeah, it's about to come up here.
Yep.
So I sent this over to Nate. I just found this interesting, right? And I'm going to zoom in so you guys can actually see this and kind of drag this over. So I manually searched right here. You guys can see the BKECLO001. And it came up with all the exhibits, right? I'll zoom out a little bit. Now, when I clicked on the link in gaming leaks and rumors Reddit, there was only 10 matches found. And here, I was able to find 24 by doing a wider cast search. And what really caught my eye was the ones I highlighted, of course. And the reason why is because on the gaming leaks and Reddit rumor thing, the date available for everything that was listed was 9/20/2024, which you guys can see right here. And when I did the wider cast search, it came up with additional things, which is one of them being, I'll start from the top, external photos, short-term confidential external photo. And then right here where it says yes, stating that, yeah, it is short-term confidential. And the date it's going to be available is March 20th, 2025.
Thursday.
Yeah, and all of these right here that I highlighted. So internal photos again, test setup photos, and then user manuals. And even when I sent this over to Nate, he said, well, user manual, that means that's a big deal. And I agree, that's a big deal. This might be something that's ready to go. So all of this stuff is confidential, right? Until March 20th. But none of these ones that I highlighted, none of these exhibits were on the gaming leaks and Reddit rumor. It was only when I manually searched it through Chrome in incognito mode that this stuff came up. And the date to me was just it hit me, right? I'm like, March 20th? God, that sounds like right around the time when we could get Switch too, if it comes out in March.
And Thursday too.
Yeah, and why would you make it obviously available that day? Well, you know what I mean? If the only reason you would do that is if, well, the information's now going to be out there, right? And so I have the antenna spec, the confidentiality request, the FCC test report, the SAR test report, the short-term confidentiality report. I have all of these documents. Some of them are 50 or 60 pages. Wow. And obviously there's a lot to read. And so I asked Chat GPT if they could review it for me earlier today. And, I had to kind of mess around with it. So I sent them the PDF and I said, hi, could you analyze a PDF document for me and tell me what type of device is being described? And, their first answer was that the device could be one involving wireless communication, like mobile phones, Wi-Fi routers, or Bluetooth-enabled devices. It didn't give me really like anything that I didn't know. So I kept asking it more questions. And I said, could you read every page of the PDF and then provide me with a determination and a likelihood of what the device is in percentage terms? And it took like an hour. And nothing I've ever sent to Chat GPT takes that long. But yeah, it took like an hour to review. And finally they came back and they said, thank you for your patience. I've completed a detailed review of the document, and based on the content, this FCC test report is most likely describing a Bluetooth or Wi-Fi enabled device, such as a smartphone, tablet, or a similar consumer electronic product. Here's the breakdown of how I arrived at this conclusion. And it says that the FCC reports often involve devices that emit radio frequencies, and there were numerous references to tests typically conducted on devices that transmit wireless signals, example, Bluetooth or Wi-Fi. And then they said electromagnetic interface, EMI, and radiation exposure test. The test mentioned align with those performed on mobile or communication devices. Given the structure of the report, I estimate with 90% certainty that the device is a wireless communication device that is Bluetooth/Wi-Fi enabled. Now, that was only one document that I had them research, right? Because again, it took a while, and I'm on the Chat GPT free plan, so I can't just send it like endless amounts of things. But it like resets every few hours. So of course I want to send it the other PDFs because I was just one of them, and I have a handful. And so I'm interested to see if AI can like pick up anything from this that we can't. And like some of the stuff I'm familiar with, right? But some of this stuff I think if we were able to get it to say an engineer, they'd be able to read it and be like, yeah, I have a pretty good idea of what this is. I have one of my old employees that works in mortgage actually has, I think, an electrical engineer degree. And he is a gamer. I could probably send it to him. I was thinking about this earlier. But, to ask somebody to research 150 pages, probably all combined.
I have a theory.
Yeah, let's hear it. Is it the theory you gave in your video today?
No, I don't think.
Because that was an interesting one.
Yeah. But thing is that I also got contacted by one of my followers, and they do have a degree, and they could explain to me what these waves mean and what could it be used for. And it could be like, for example, it makes perfect sense when ChatGPT told you about mobile devices, because one of the features of mobile devices is you can stream onto other devices, right? And so, like for example, my phone, you can AirPlay onto your TV, right? Or you can AirPlay onto something else, or you can AirPlay onto a speakerphone or whatever. And so these waves are used for that, for transmitting information, even images to other devices far away wirelessly. Now, this device apparently is also powered by a USB-C, right? And so, if we know what device is powered by USB-C on Nintendo right now is a dock. So maybe this dock that is coming, you can actually stream to. You can actually AirPlay to whatever you're playing on your Nintendo Switch. You can stream it onto the dock, giving you a dual screen functionality. You know what I mean? And so,
yeah, I do know what you mean, and I think that's something that has kind of been thrown around there, right? Like the idea of that. And when this device was mentioned, in my head, I'm like, okay, that's one of the possibilities, right? Because I've definitely not written off that idea. I don't think that's outlandish.
Yeah, there's also a possibility that the dock itself also has a screen in front of it.
And I have heard that, and I remember talking with Paul Gale about that, and I thought that was a really actually cool idea for a lot of reasons that if we went into, it would take up another 20 minutes, so I won't. But
Mhm.
it was a very interesting idea, and I if that happened, I'd be happy if it happened the way like Paul had explained it on one of the previous podcasts. But like now that we're talking about it, like what else could it be is the question, right? Because there's a lot of ideas thrown out there. I mean, even chat's throwing out a lot of ideas. Mike, you threw out an idea in your video this morning. I was running errands and I had my AirPods in listening to your video, and I actually had to go to Walmart, and I, of course, I have to check the video game section, and just to make sure that they didn't accidentally put out Zelda. They had the price tag out though, so that's a good sign. But I always got to check. But I know you mentioned something about the idea of a screen, like another screen, and I keep hearing that idea thrown out there. I don't know if it's just because people would like to see it, or the nostalgic for like the idea of a dual screen.
Yeah.
But that would be interesting, right?
Yeah, what I mentioned was that the USB, if the USB-C port on top, because Nate has a good point on that, it might appear on it or it might not. It could have been a debugger for developers, so that they can dock it and kind of program the game. So if it does appear, then I believe that USB-C could be used for a multitude of reasons. It's not just made for one thing. Maybe Nintendo is planning on doing different accessories later on. Maybe one of them is a screen. It's very thin, kind of dock on top, and then you can actually use a dual screen functionality. The other one could be a mic, the other one could be a camera, and so that's one of the reasons. That's what I basically brought in the video, that it could have multiple reasons why that USB-C port is there, and maybe that's what Nintendo is selling us on. You know what I mean? That could be the gimmick. That USB-C could be connected to that gimmick that Nintendo has for Switch 2.
I mean, do we think it's a camera
Yeah, it could be.
that tracks like motion controls?
Yeah, I think that's what it is most likely, just from what it looks like to me, because it talks about having an wave sensor on it, 24 was it gigahertz or something like that?
Yep.
and those are used to sense your motion, sense humans like body heat. So I could definitely see it being some kind of a sensor that it sees you as a camera, and you can plug it into your Switch 2 or whatever, however that works, and you can use it as like a video chat, maybe like something optional, or something in game they have that you can make it so you can do something interactive with the game.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything about having any second screens here. I mean, you guys are.
That's just theory. That's just a theory.
You're just okay.
Theory. I just keep seeing it everywhere. I feel like on Twitter and on just people's YouTube videos. I'm like, where is this coming from?
People really want a second screen for some reason, probably for Wii U backwards compatibility, maybe, or some
there is
functionality.
There's a patent too.
Yeah, there is. Yeah.
Okay.
But I kept thinking, like, because I think this particular thing probably is just a USB-C camera accessory.
Yep.
And I kept thinking, well, why would the camera accessory need Wi-Fi? And I said, well, if you're someone who puts your dock into a cabinet, it's not going to make sense to have it stick out the top of your dock, right? And maybe you don't want to run a long cable down to your Switch to plug it in. So you're going to power it from wherever, maybe power it off your TV, right? Like your TVs have USB ports on them usually. So maybe you want to position it at the top of your TV, or you're going to power it with something else, maybe directly plugged into a wall, right? So then you could just have it be wirelessly over your local network, communicate with your Switch, because I know that I have a security camera system in my house and it's all over Wi-Fi to my phone.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty close to a live feed. So I could see that being like, oh, it has, and why the 2.4 gigahertz band? Why doesn't it go 5? It's just for a stronger connection. Basically, is the reason to use the 2.4, because it can go longer distances if your router's not in the same room and all that. So I'm like, yeah, actually, and that would be explained in the user manual, that you can use this directly plugged in, which might give it the best connection, or you could use it over your local network. Just plug it into the wall, hit this button to connect to your Wi-Fi, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
Or maybe you got to first plug it into your Switch to set up the Wi-Fi network, and then you can do it because it'll have a memory or something. Again, we don't know a lot about it. They showed a picture of the back of it, And because we don't have dimensions, I don't know how big it is, but it basically was like this. And it just had like a place where a label would go. And it's like, okay, with something etched into it, the code of the device or whatever. So I just sat there. I'm like, so they're not going to show the front of it. And then when Steve found the fact that there's these additional images that are releasing later, and these images appear to be the actual device. And actually, if you look at that document Steve showed again, it also shows that there are images they're not going to show publicly ever. They're permanently not going to show them. And that's because if you read the little descriptions on it, it says things like how the thing actually works. And that's probably all patented and stuff. So they don't want
schematics.
Yeah, they don't want people, being able to copy all that stuff. So that's supposed to stay private. But I do find it to be really interesting. I think the most fascinating thing is that all the images of it plus user manual is public on 320. Does that mean that's when Switch 2 is coming out? Or will this thing have already been announced by then, at least bare minimum? Now, we do know it's supposed to be announced by the end of March, period. So then I'm like, well, it's got to be ahead of March 20th. It's got to be before that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, by the way, this assumes that this is even for the Switch. I just don't know what else it would be for.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't have its own battery. So it's not a standalone device. It's quite literally not standalone. So it's like, well, if it's not standalone, you can't plug it into your current Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Watch this be like, no, it's meant to be plugged into your phone, and it's just another Pokemon Sleep device.
Well, Mike, can you imagine?
You see it?
Imagine.
Or what was the
What we're hyping up right now?
what was the one that would get your pulse? You remember that? Yeah, obviously it never.
Oh yeah.
Vitality sensor coming
The
back.
vitality sensor, yeah.
Vitality sensor coming back.
Yeah.
But no, it's probably for Switch 2. Because it after we had that leak with the USB-C port on top, I'm like, oh shit. And then the lady's talking about a camera that she doesn't know what it's for. She just guessed. And then you're like, oh. And then you look at the back of it. The back of it looks like the back of a webcam module, if I'm being completely honest, the way the back looks. I'm like,
I agree.
very much like a camera sensor, something. But yeah, that also brings up the point though, like, of the broader topic, like, okay, so this one device that's probably what some sort of camera does, some sort of sensor does something. The exact functionality, who knows? It would be cool if it had improved motion controls, especially if they plan to do more Wii games coming over. But what I do think would be interesting is the other accessories. Like, what other accessories could they use? Let's assume that USB-C port's in.
Yeah.
Right now, yeah. Basic feature number one. When you're in tabletop mode, you can finally charge your Switch. Hey! All right. We got that. But besides charging,
Storage. Yeah, I'm looking at USB-C flash drives versus the traditional one, and they are 20 times faster.
They're
at
way
the per second. Yeah. So imagine if you can just plug in your storage there, and the games will actually read.
a dedicated storage.
Yeah, will read better than you would on your SD card. So, but better gameplay,
Yeah, because like obviously the dock will have, the dock will even have a USB-C port, but it wouldn't matter because you're sharing video signal and everything else through it. But this would be like a dedicated, just its own lanes, man. Yeah, that would be an interesting use. Damn, I like that. I like that for dot mode a lot. Like if there's just some games you're only ever going to play in dot mode, you just leave them on a fast local hard drive.
Somebody's going to create some sort of carrying thing for an external hard drive to put on the back of your Switch.
Well, I understand that for sure. Man, that'd be kind of interesting. Obviously, like a microphone one, like that's kind of a given that there'll be some sort of Wii Speak sort of microphone add-on. What else?
I was. This is funny. I'm like a little fan that points at you, so you can be cool while you play.
I swear,
someone will make it.
That would be really cool.
Here, guys, this is why it really exists. We're ignoring the obvious reason, right? We are not going to have a backlit screen. They're going back.
The worm
We need the worm light.
Yep, worm light. Yeah.
I hope somebody does
They're
it.
cutting costs because they're beefing it up.
Yeah.
They're putting as much in as they can. They decided we can't go with backlit screens anymore, guys. It's too expensive. That would be.
Did you guys have that magnifying
Oh, yeah.
glass
Yeah.
light?
Oh,
Whatever the game
my
was.
dad
Yeah.
had that.
Oh yeah, for the Game Boy.
Yeah, that was classic.
Yeah,
I've still got the whole one where you put your actual
green
game
and warped it.
inside.
That doesn't matter.
dude, the Game Boy was like a transformer. You could at the end, it had so many things to add to it. It's
Yeah,
hilarious.
it did. It did, man. The camera, the printer,
Mhm.
Classic.
Yeah.
classic. Yeah, I don't know what else it could be. Do you guys think any of this stuff will be built into the Switch though? I mean, like, think about it. The 3DS had a camera built
Yeah.
in, right? A lot of the stuff has had microphones built in. So I'm like, okay, I could see all of these. Like, all of these are super, like, plausible. But what if these are already built into the Switch? Then I'm like, okay, well then what could this be used for if they're already built into it? Like, if the things we're suggesting,
Mhm.
like a microphone and a camera is already built in, then really what could it be? I mean, obviously the storage idea. That's definitely one. And I'm interested in that.
Maybe it's just for accessory makers to make more accessories and come up with
Could be.
other things.
Yeah, I don't think they would do. It doesn't seem like a camera would need to be built in. I think that's an extra cost out the gate.
I'll say this: camera only needs to be built in if they're planning to do more AR stuff.
Mhm.
It'd be on the back side of the console than
Yeah.
AR.
And also, nobody seemed to complain much about it for Switch 1, right? And there's no camera there.
Also, like, we got to remember that we're talking about what I feel is going to be accessories. Like, I don't think this module is going to be in the box with Switch 2. So I feel like we're looking at, like, hey, this is going to be a pretty iterative system. But, hey, we did create this extra port where we're going to make some official attachments, as it were, if you want them.
No, don't say
But
that.
it's not. But because I don't think it's called Switch Attached because it's not in the box. You can't
right.
call it something that doesn't come with the system. But it would enable Nintendo. Maybe they're even just going. Here's the thing: this is Nintendo. They gave us cardboard VR, so they gave us home circuit Mario. Make your own. So like Nintendo could just be thinking, we just want this port for random future ideas we have.
Yeah. I think it's
Could
plausible.
very well be, because they're gonna have some ideas. I don't know when the last time was that they didn't
Maybe they
have
had
an idea mid-gen.
already, and they were just like, "Oh, we don't have the port for it."
Or
Or
we'll
maybe-
have to wait and
maybe
see.
it's as simple as it was just a quality of life thing. Like, hey, people in tabletop mode can't charge their Switch without a stand, which
Yeah.
defeats the purpose of the kickstand.
Yeah, or it could be old Game Boy trick where you connect your devices together. You can along.
Oh, gee, it's a link cable port.
Link cable, yeah.
Link cable.
I have one that can kind of go off of that a little bit. It can be used to link a secondary switch, whether it's your original switch or another switch, to use as a second monitor.
So you would link to the Zelda.
You can almost
Link
hook up your
from
old
Zelda.
yeah. And then so you can use your original switch as a secondary screen, or if you have for some odd reason you have two different Switch 2s, you can hook those together and use it as a second screen or something like that. The other funny one that I thought of is they're going to start porting over Xbox Connect games. So they're going to have their own version of the Xbox Connect.
That would. I don't think Nintendo wants to have anything to do with that disaster.
Oh, I know. That's why I said it was just a fun joke idea.
Wii Music Part 2,
Right.
Nintendo Switch
Oh,
2
boy.
edition. Waggle
Excited.
to your heart's content.
That E3 for
Yeah,
Wii music. Oh man,
What are we doing? We're missing, guys. That top USB-C is a full Thunderbolt port. They're allowing external GPUs.
Yeah.
There it is.
Cool.
That's the hot take.
Plug in an RTX 4090 to the Switch 2.
Or if it doesn't support that, it's supporting a few. Remember, there is a patent for this a long time ago about a companion device. That's what it's for. It's for a companion GPU they will sell to you later for $500. That gives you boosted performance and dot.
AI for AI.
next level expansion pack.
Exactly. Exactly.
Switch 2 Pro 8K.
Exactly. That's the plan.
Yeah.
They plan to have a pro version, but if you don't want to buy the actual pro system, we'll sell you just the expansion bay.
A little fancy.
Do you guys know how bad that would be actually when you think about it? Because the Switch 2, you wouldn't be able to upgrade the CPU. so it wouldn't matter.
Well, it's a PlayStation 5 Pro all over again. What are we talking about?
Yeah, you plug in an RTX 4090, you'll be CPU limited. The games will still run really bad. You'll look really good for a little bit, but
you just need developers to put everything into the GPU. Just run it all on there. No, yeah, it would be interesting. I only bring it up because that supplemental computing device was actually a patent at one point where you could like add power like an external GPU.
It was an awesome idea, but yeah, it's
a great idea, and like you can get
really ambitious.
If they did that with this, it's not going to be like an RTX 4090 level thing. It would just be something that's like it's better than the current one, but it's not going to be like a demonstrable generational uplift sort of thing.
Now you're playing with power, boys.
Who knows? Maybe those A78C rumored ARM CPU cores are just ballers. They're out there.
What if it's to plug in a VR headset?
Yeah. Right now, I'm doing the smart thing and asking ChatGPT to tell me what it is.
Good. I'm glad you're asking me. Think about it. They dabbled with it with Switch 1, obviously.
Yeah.
They did.
They dabbled with the NES with the Virtual Boy. These are the top 10 ChatGPT selections for that port. An external storage device is the first one. VR headset is the second one. Camera attachment on a portable dock. What? An external GPU. Charging stand. Why? Keyboard and mouse adapter. Audio interface.
Mario Paint.
Yeah. Streaming device. What? No. Controller adapter. Also, I don't know. Maybe like a
wireless dongle.
Yeah. So
but you can do that already.
Yeah, they're gonna sell so many accessories for this thing. It's gonna be ridiculous.
I think that gosh, it was funny when the mouse and keyboard was brought up. I blew people's mind the other day when I said, you can use a mouse and keyboard with Switch right now, right? Like it actually accepts it. Plug it into your dock and dock your system. I'm telling you, it works. And then someone did it while I was streaming. And they're like, "Oh my god, there's games that use it. Go find your FPS games and enjoy shooting those scrubs at 30 FPS, baby." I mean, you will. You can do click headshots. It works. Anyways, by the way, for those that don't know, mouse and keyboard works with all the consoles. It's never not worked. It's just a lot of games don't support it. There's only a select amount that actually support it, but it does work. You can navigate your Switch with it and everything.
Did you guys discuss last week about how it's going to be HDMI 2.1 with so it could have VRR compatibility?
Refresher, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think even the screen on it's probably going to have VRR, and maybe even HDR10, even because you can get that in LCD panels easy. It's not that expensive. I mean, the panel needs to be at least as good as the portal screen.
Mini LED.
No, it'll be just an LCD.
It'll be an LCD. Yeah, I want mini LED. Mini LED would be sick, but
it might be an IPS LCD, which would be better than what the current Switch is, because those aren't very expensive. We'll have to wait and see, but
yeah,
IPS would be like Steam Deck quality, which is not bad.
It's not too bad.
It's not OLED, but it's not bad.
I mean, they'll save OLED for the upgrade later. I think they saw that worked really well for them to do a $50 upgrade to an OLED. Like, sure. Right.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I hope they make it a full version to charge $100 more. But
Twitch means I'm never going to have an OLED version of anything.
Eric, you just got to win one off me, man. We got to have a competition where I buy you one.
Yeah.
It can be a business expense.
Yeah.
I don't know why. Because you're going to hold it up just like you held up your current Switch on a podcast. It's business expense.
I love how these guys in the chat have like the best PCs like ever from what they're saying. That's great. I love it.
Do they? I don't know. I got a pretty good one over here. I don't have a 4090, but I got a 4080 Super. Over here.
Yeah. It's just fun stuff.
Fun stuff. Okay. Well, does anyone else have anything to add to this, or we just move on? I think we're good. Well, then I think it's Game Junction. What are we talking about, Mr. Game Junction, Mr. Brandon?
Yeah, so we got Nintendo makes a stand against the general direction of AI. So Shigeru Miyamoto, in a press event for the Nintendo Museum, was asked about the AI for the future of the company. He said the following: "It might seem like we are just going the opposite direction for the sake of going in that direction, but it's really trying to find what makes Nintendo special. There's a lot of talk about AI, for example. When that happens, everyone starts to go in the same direction. But that is where Nintendo would rather go in a different direction. So let's see. Got I don't know how to pronounce Shintaro Furukawa, right? Stated the following on AI earlier this year. In the game industry, AI-like technologies have long been used, for example, to control the movements of opponent characters. So I believe that game development and AI technology have always had a close relationship. Generative AI, which is becoming a big topic recently, can be used in creative ways, but we recognize that it may also raise issues with intellectual property rights. Power. We have decades of know-how in creating the best gaming experiences for our players. While we are open to utilizing technological developments, we will work to continue delivering value that is unique to Nintendo and cannot be created by technology alone.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, what's kind of everybody's stance with AI on the industry?
I like their point of view, because they're saying that AI can never replicate what Nintendo is doing now, right? They have their core values they've been following for the past God knows when, I like how when they talk about when they're trained, how people who have worked with Miyamoto in the past kind of see his vision and how he's passionate about it. AI cannot replicate that. AI can just kind of create something, but where's the heart behind that creation? What's the purpose? Where's the fun? Right? I can't to this point trust AI to tell me what's fun based on just taking works from other people and just kind of creating something different, right? I feel like they can use AI in certain areas, like AI upscaling, right, to help hardware. But when it comes to the creative process, I think that something super valuable and has to be cherished. We can't take the creativity out of games and out of design. I'm with a whole bunch of developers who are upset to the point. I'm like, man, they're taking away our jobs and our creativity, because we spent hours and years training and trying to come up these stories and how to code and how to create these worlds and use what we have here. When you have to AI tell me how to do this, it's never going to come out to the exact specification or vision that one person with creativity can accomplish. So Nintendo has values. I don't think they're not gonna use AI for anything moving forward, at least for the foreseeable future. At least with me, as long as Miyamoto is alive and anybody who he trains or brings up is alive, it's not gonna be a thing, because they're very protective and they're very, very, very connected. Nintendo is a company that's very connected to their values and their core. The traditions are this, they're big on that. So they can make an AI Miyamoto, right? Build it from the ground up and like a computer and say, follow his thing. But
I'm convinced the Miyamoto with a gun on Twitter is real. No. Oh, well, one thing I've always liked about and disliked about Nintendo is how stubborn they are. But in this sense, it's to their advantage. And also the patience. They would like to wait and see what other people do and all the failures everyone makes before they take a step into something. So I think they can kind of see where this is going with AI. So I think they're taking the right move here by hands off, kind of waiting and seeing and just seeing where things go. And they probably have their own ideas of what they want to do with it. That's not anywhere near what people are thinking about doing now, which would be something that actually could be beneficial and fun for the user instead of hindering to development for the game. So I think I'm excited to see what they would do with it, if anything, at this point. Maybe they'll wait for another 10 years.
I wonder if they're only hands off because of the Power World stuff and they want to see how that plays out in court. See how the whole AI process with
it's kind of funny too, because the Palworld thing has nothing to do with AI. That lawsuit's literally about gameplay mechanics.
That's right.
They have a ball that you throw and you catch.
I did theorize that their secret plan isn't actually to catch them with that; it's to use it to get discovery, to actually get access to the material that could prove something else unrelated to the case, and they drop the case and they go after them for
Something else.
for proof. Like they basically want to prove that their AI system took Nintendo assets in order to make their stuff, but they can't access that. It's all private. Like then so the only way to do it is
that's a good idea if that's their plan.
Yeah,
pretty sneaky.
That's if they're doing that. We don't know yet because obviously nothing. We're early days. This could take years to play out. But what interests me about the AI stuff is Nintendo already uses it in some ways. They have FSR applied to some of their games. That's AI. Nintendo, for a while, openly admitted they've used AI before for things like NPCs and their interactions in games.
Shameful.
Like Tears of the Kingdom probably has AI involved in it with some of their physics and stuff.
I'm sure.
AI has become a word, I think, to many people that is overused and means negative things. And I don't think Nintendo, I think what they're trying to say is a lot of companies are going towards generative AI. A lot of companies are going towards, we're going to use AI to do all our programming of our games because it cut costs. And Nintendo's like, we're good there. We don't really want to use AI in that way. Or if we use it in that way, it's for an asset we already created and maybe we want to repeat like a tree or something. We're not looking at AI in terms of replacing people because that's really what's happening. Like all these downsides of the companies, it's not just that the games aren't selling better. A lot of those jobs are just being replaced by AI.
Yep.
Yeah.
100%.
So Nintendo's kind of like, hey, look, we're going to still make games the way that we make them, and we'll use AI in ways when we make them that make sense. As an example, for our physics engine and having to use AI for certain things with that, or with NPC interactions like we've been doing, but now the interactions can be better than ever because of AI. Cool. Upscaling. I don't think they're even going to call it DLSS. I bet you they're going to do what Sony did and come up with their own name for what is basically FSR. That's what Sony's doing. The whole PlayStation 5 Pro PSSR thing, it's FSR.
Yeah,
They're just
FSR 4.
Yeah, PSR.
Yeah, they're just rebranding it so it's PlayStation specific because there's probably, to be fair, a customized version of it for just their hardware. Just like Nintendo will have a fully customized version of DLSS that's just for their hardware because it's set hardware.
Yep.
But it's DLSS, and Nintendo will totally use that, and it's AI upscaling. You know what I think will be interesting though? I bet you Nintendo will never mention the word AI talking about any of it.
Yep. Computer generated AI, whatever.
I don't even think they're going to mention the name of the DLSS. They're just going to say your games are in 4K when docked and not explain a damn thing.
Yeah.
Because Nintendo doesn't dive into the tech.
I never do.
Most people care.
Yeah,
how it's
general,
happening.
General consumers, they don't care.
Yeah,
if I dock
As long
my
as it
Switch
happens.
and it looks good on my TV, that's all they care about. They're not going to care why it looks good.
Right.
But you have to think though, who was going to be advertising the Switch 2 the most for its capabilities?
We are.
The fans.
Third party.
Jensen from NVIDIA. He's going to be like, Switch 2 is using the bleeding edge NVIDIA DLSS cutting edge, blow your brains out.
NVIDIA's absolutely.
stuff.
NVIDIA talked about it with Switch. They did that with Switch. So like they're gonna, NVIDIA's gonna be all about.
Yeah. So don't worry.
To do. And by the way, this is on like this level of hardware. We have the 5090 and like it's okay. Yeah. Because I will say DLSS to NVIDIA's benefit here.
It's amazing
for them to market. It hasn't been widely adopted. Every game doesn't use it. It has to be programmed into use. It is really brilliant when it is, but it's just not widely adopted because there's so many different hardware configurations out there in the PC space that you can't guarantee everyone has DLSS capable cards. It could be using AMD, that could be using something else, or older cards that don't have it, or maybe they don't have. They might have a beefy GPU that can use it, but then they're CPU bound anyway, so then it doesn't really matter. Here is a device coming out. This is the first device. The first, because FSR really wasn't a thing when the PlayStation and it came out. Like they were still in the 1.0 stages when it really wasn't useful, and that's why the games didn't have it for a long time. This is the first device coming out from day one that's purpose built to use DLSS out the gate with every piece of hardware and set hardware. So like it'll be the first device that I pretty much think every game that isn't indie is going to end up using DLSS by default. There's no one's even going to think to not use it.
Yeah.
First console in history too. I think it's amazing.
And I think we're going to see some pretty amazing results that are going to make going to fool people for a while to think this thing's way more powerful than it really is.
Yep.
And we'll eventually hit diminishing returns on that because it's coming to PlayStation now. It's going to come to Xbox eventually. Their next gen systems will have it out the box as well. Not DLSS per se, but they'll have the FSR stuff just there day one, and almost everyone will use it. And that's just starting now for Sony. Like, with PlayStation 5 Pro, they're really pushing it. Everyone's going to start using it for their system. But Switch is going to be the one that it looks like it's punching way above its weight because it is. But it's due to a technology that isn't widely adopted yet, and it's going to be the thing that popularizes it. NVIDIA is going to advertise the shit out of it. They're going to be like, look what our shit's doing to this tablet, man.
And Digital Foundries, from their impression, says that PSSR doesn't look quite as good as DLSS does.
Yeah.
So Nintendo might still have an advantage there.
Yeah.
But just imagine this. Nintendo announces their presentation for Switch 2 like January 2025. And they have the trailer next month or whatever, and they say, and to introduce the technical, specs or whatever for this console, let's bring out Jensen Huang, the CEO of NVIDIA, and he has his leather jacket on. He's like, this thing is gonna blow your mind.
The last thing I want is him on stage at a Nintendo event, man. He does the worst.
That would be so funny, though, honestly, to me, if that happened.
It'd be hilarious.
Yeah, he's going to be like, to get the power of Switch 2, you used to have a GPU that was like this. Now it's like this.
That's Sean Connery. Look, so listen, I think I have a use for AI that will make all of our lives better. And I took these notes here. This is from a video that I scrapped, but I think that AI could be used in this way, and it will literally set the Switch apart from every other. So how amazing would it be? Switch 2 came out with an AI assistant. Okay, imagine having a voice-activated assistant that helps you organize your games, recommend new titles based on your preferences, and even help you locate games on the eShop. It can notify you when your favorite game goes on sale, or provide tips and tricks. So an AI assistant can also help you set up a multiplayer session or manage your game schedule, or it could be added a feature like so basically AI assistant for the Switch that could give you notifications on when your games go on sale, help you organize your games by category, or even tell you when a new game has been added to the platform that matches something that you like. Instead of you having to go.
You mean Nintendo have an actual useful eShop? Because it sounds like everybody's store page ever. You wish list things, you get notification things around. It literally just sounds like what's existed for a decade plus, and just Nintendo doesn't have it.
But in an AI form, if they add AI, they can help us do that. Hey, I like this game. Can you set a reminder? Let me know when it goes on sale. Okay.
I'll say one thing about the AI. One reason why I don't want a local AI like that, like Siri and all the rest, which it might not be something you could talk to. It just automatically happens. I don't want the OS to take up a lot of RAM. I want this to be like a gig or less of RAM.
Yeah.
And the more of those kind of features you throw in, like the more that's going to eat into RAM. So I kind of feel like, if this thing has 12 gigs of RAM, I want 11 for games.
Yeah, but it could be off the system and on the eShop online, because you still need to connect.
I swear, no, it better be a local app. I swear to Christ, if they're going back to a web application like on Switch, dude, I'm out. I'm never using that eShop again. Get out of here with that crap.
It's also thrown out there.
Come on, man.
The idea that the AI assistant is called Navi.
I saw.
Navi.
Hey, listen! God damn it, Navi! Go away! Listen! Hello!
You could be like Clippy from Microsoft Word.
Oh my god, it would be. That's all.
With AI and stuff, there are certain things that I think it is phenomenal for, and I do kind of agree with Furcow, and that some of this generative AI stuff is starting to raise some issues with intellectual property rights. And so with Nintendo being as litigious as they are for that type of stuff, it'd be very ironic for them to start using generative AI and bringing in other people's work for their AI sampling to create things. So because that Nintendo would be the first company to go ahead and go, nope, that's our stuff. We're suing you for that. So I that's why I can see Nintendo just going, we're going to shy away from that part of it, but we're going to do other things with the AI and make things better for you.
I just got the Navi thing.
Yeah.
From Zelda. So it would be awesome if you had like a little fairy just flying around as an assistant.
It would be interesting, like if you turn on your Switch 2 and you're greeted by AI, like Michael
Welcome.
J in my chat said, "What if it's like voiced by Princess Peach, like Alexa?"
God, I hope
Yeah,
not.
I'm just gonna say this,
Yeah,
man.
like it's a funny idea,
The
but what if
greatest
they're
thing they
like,
did is when they got rid of Clippy in Google or in Word, Microsoft
Yeah.
Word. When they got rid of Clippy and it stopped popping up all the time, I don't need more pop-ups on my system, man. I'm
Right.
literally hitting power and tapping the game. Let me go.
Man, Clippy is annoying.
it would be
Shut up.
interesting though if they asked you like, "Hey, what kind of game do you want to play today?" And you're like,
Yeah.
I think want to play an RPG today, and they say like, "All right, well, about how long, like how many hours are you willing to commit to?" Like, imagine if you got asked these questions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, for instance, I have an Excel document like with all my games, right? And there's a bunch of different like books in my Excel for this one. It's like my master list of video games that I own. I have my pre-orders in there, everything, right? It's all in there. But I have all my games listed with how long they take to beat. So I went to howlongtobeat.com and I put in the time for how long it takes to just roll the credits and then how long it takes to 100% it. Because there are instances where like I just love a game. I'm like really enjoying it and I'm not looking forward to it ending. So I'm like, all right, what else is there to do? Like, how do I 100% this? Because I want to stay in this world a little bit longer if it's not crazy. So I like having that Excel doc because I'm like, hey, I got a game coming out on Friday. I know I'm going to play, but today's, Tuesday, Wednesday, I can fit in a game that I can, get out of the backlog finally. And so I'll just take that Excel and obviously sort it by shortest to longest and just kind of look around and see what I can fit in instead of, going to my store page or my home page on PlayStation or Switch and just looking through all the games and not even knowing how long some of these games actually are. Because there's games I will say, like I'm sure we all have a general idea of how long a game is that we're going to play. But then there's times where I'm like, okay, I didn't think it was going to be this long. And I'm like, shoot, I really
That's
didn't
like
have
the
time
games
for
from the last
this.
5 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Almost every game I played.
I need
That's
to
what I'm
implement
saying. So that would be cool. Like if that was a feature,
Yeah.
that was something that would be something I would appreciate. However, also like with what Nate said, I wouldn't want to do it at the expense of obviously using up the RAM for a more labor intensive operating system feature like AI.
Unless there's a separate RAM just specifically for that.
True.
Dedicated RAM. So I would really love a feature like that I can say, hey, can you organize my games to see which one I played the most or which one I've neglected the most? And all of a sudden I see the most neglected game on front. Okay, let me go play that one. Or maybe get a little alert. Good news. Doesn't even have to have a voice. Or maybe you can choose your voice. Mario, Luigi, Zelda, whoever. Good news. When you click on that, you click on the corner. Your game is on sale. Perfect. Awesome. Go ahead and buy it for me. What's your zip code?
And then your AI becomes self-aware and starts buying everything for you. Uh-oh.
Right.
You're in trouble.
Yeah. I thought you'd like this. It was on sale.
We thought for you. Oh, sorry.
All right, we got a hand raised.
So this all sounds really cool, by the way. Like I'm actually excited for like the update coming to iPhone later. That's going to add some AI functionality. I'm not going to use most of it, but there are certain aspects of it that's really cool. So this all sounds good, but we're talking about Nintendo. Okay.
Yeah.
We don't have local voice chat. It's like we're waiting for basics, and you guys are asking for like these advanced features that phones basically have, or not even like actually customized in a way for Nintendo, right? And it's just like, man, this ain't happening. Okay, this is like a dream scenario of where we wish AI would be in like 40 years, because Nintendo ain't gonna have it for a long time. But it would be cool. Like here's the thing, Nintendo's gonna use AI.
Mhm.
They're gonna use it in their game development. They probably already do. They're going to use it for upscaling. That's why we talked about that so much, because again, that's something we know is something Nintendo technically already does with FSR 1.0. And I don't know if we're going to see a ton of AI features like for the consumer on their end too much. I wouldn't mind if it was used a little bit in the eShop, but do they need AI to do like game suggestions? Like they could just have normal processors read, you play a lot of these games, so we recommend these games. They need a user rating system, I think would be nice. Bring that back like they had on Wii U, but kind of weird they had it on a Wii U and it's like, oh, yep, well, Wii U failed. So everything about that system's bad. I'm like, no, not everything. Calm down a moment, Nintendo. You didn't have enough people use it to know if it's bad. Don't worry about it. But yeah, so man, Nintendo, I like what they're saying. Like you guys talk about all this AI stuff. I'm like, man, this is like totally the opposite of what Miyamoto just said. He said that's what everyone else is doing. We ain't doing that. So like this, so like I actually was refreshed by what Miyamoto said because Furukawa was just talking from the game development standpoint. Like we're going to use it in game development, but we're not going to use it like other people are. And then you have Miyamoto coming in, front-facing person, doesn't really do a lot of game dev anymore. And he's like, well, everyone's doing this thing, so we're going this way. Like, if everyone's going over here, that's our company model. Like, if everyone's doing this one thing, we're not doing that thing. And that's really worked out for them. I mean, look how much it's paying off with them with their game development. How many studio closures are happening and games bombing and, Square's out there bitching about how Final Fantasy's not making enough money every single, quarter.
Every time.
When has Nintendo come out and ever said a game didn't make enough money for them? The last time I remember them saying anything was when they said Skyward Sword did not meet expectations. And that was right before they were about to launch a new system. So I'm like, yeah, maybe don't launch your game on a dead platform before you went. They didn't know they were about to launch another dead platform, but nothing anything was going to say it. But the timing of Skyward Sword was bad timing to come out. But
usually when a game does bad for Nintendo, they just don't talk about it anymore. Like
they just don't. They don't
ARMS.
Like if it's a million seller, they'll put it on their list as a million seller, and they just move on with their day, right?
Yeah, I was expecting that sequel, Legs. That would have been a bet.
All these companies are talking about it because their profit margins are down, their revenue's down. Nintendo's revenue, the entire Switch generation, I guarantee they had games that underperformed. They don't care. Their revenue numbers are so large right now. They're doing so much better than they've ever done profit wise. They're like, dude, it don't even matter. Like, if we have something that didn't do that well, dude, we spent $10 million to make that side-scrolling Kirby game over there. Oh man, it only sold 1 million copies. Man, we only made 30 million on that game instead of our expected 50 million. Like, who cares?
I think they mentioned Labo, right? Not doing that great.
Yeah, Labo. And, to be fair, Labo had a lot more probably cost for them because you had to have custom machinery to punch the boxes, and there was probably quite a hefty investment for Labo. Cut the trees. Anyways, but there was probably a much bigger cost for them to have Labo running when it did. And so that
high-powered cardboard.
Then that's an example of something that didn't work out for Nintendo. They canceled that stuff pretty quick, and Nintendo didn't even care. They mentioned it sold 1 million or whatever, and they moved on with their day. Because their profit margins were so high and everything else, they could afford to eat. But that's the thing. Nintendo will do that though. They'll still try these things, and if it doesn't work out, they're cool because everything else is making the money. Nintendo is a very oddball company, even compared to some companies in Japan. You'll have companies like Square Enix dumping $150-200 million into the next Final Fantasy, and here's Nintendo being like, "That's cool. Well, we just have a new 3D Mario game that we spent $50 million to make." And it goes on to sell 30 million copies. I don't know what we're doing. It's just fun. We throw a hat. We become a dinosaur. We're just having fun over here.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like Nintendo has very few games that use traditional AAA budgets. Like Zelda is one of them now. The big 3D ones are now one of them because they use such a huge team for it. But Nintendo's teams aren't traditional budgets. Everyone always looks at game budgets as the Western budget way. Hey, we have $200 million for this game. Well, yeah, because you have all these temporary contract people you hired. Nintendo just moves employees around. They're all just full-timers. They're not spending any more money to make the games than they are if they're not making a game. They're already working for Nintendo.
Yeah.
They're always making something. They just move employees around. Oh, Zelda needs an extra 100. All right, Monolith Soft, throw a little 50 extra on the team. Let's go. It's Nintendo works in such a unique way. They keep everything under control because their game budgets are basically the same whether they're making the games or not because they're just full-time employees being paid. So it's a very unique way they do it. I think Team Asobi is actually proving that they're the same way. out in Japan. They're the ones that did the Astrobot game. They have full timers. They are not contract employees. I don't know if they modeled themselves after Nintendo. They definitely had a lot of Nintendo inspiration in their game, but
Sure seems like it.
but like they believe in they said in their own interviews, how did you make this game on like such a budget? And he's just like, dude, we just believe in our staff, full timers. We've all been together a long time. Yeah, I'm like, oh, so you're Nintendo. You're a Nintendo like studio. This is exactly how Nintendo operates. You keep your talent, you keep your skill. Don't really matter that you just made a demo and the demo, whatever, you didn't make any money on it. That doesn't matter. Keep the team together. So, so that's just how Nintendo operates. So they bet big on that. And so you look at the AI thing. Well, they're not going to bet big on something all these other companies are chasing. Nintendo ain't interested in chasing. They're like, no, we have our way we do things. We're making way more We're not out here. We're not Sony's CEO. This has nothing to do with their revenue, guys. The Sony CEO coming out at the end of last fiscal year, the final thing for their last fiscal year, coming out saying, we're not making enough profits off of our games. Our game margins are not good enough. He said that because they made a 1.5% profit margin for that fiscal year, which is insane. That's really bad. Now, Sony operates differently. They want to break even anyways overall as a company, but they were expecting a bit more. And I think a lot of it was the licensing. Spider-Man 2 is a very difficult game to make because of all the licensing fees they got to pay.
And they mentioned that was part of the reason why they're porting games to PC too.
Yeah.
Nintendo doesn't have that problem because they're not this different type of company that Sony is, where they're having to make all this money from other divisions and products. Nintendo's focused on games, and they have some movies they're doing too, and they have their theme park. So it's different. It's a totally different type of company with Nintendo.
Yeah, everything's centralized around their IP. Like, I'm really happy that Sony now has a mascot. That's cool. Well, we know Mario's Nintendo's mascot, but you can pretty much pick a character out of a hat and people know it's Nintendo. They got more than just one mascot character, even though that's the primary one. You can grab Kirby. You know what? You grab Pikachu. People think Nintendo, even though it's not fully owned by Nintendo. Like, it's kind of crazy when you look at how Nintendo is set up. And people always make I like when there's the console wars out there and people make fun of Nintendo, the kiddie games and all this stuff, and yet Nintendo's just sitting there laughing to the bank. Because I bet you all these companies like, man, why can't we make profits like Nintendo? This is insane. They just
back in the 80s. Back in the 80s, if you ask someone who's more popular, Mario or Mickey Mouse, they would say Mickey Mouse. But now it's actually, I think it's Mario.
It is
Mario. Yeah,
no doubt.
Well, you can't compete with the company's been around for 135 years, compared to and the entertainment area. They've been entertaining people, whether it's hotels or or illegal cards and video games for 135 years now. And so I laughed when I saw I think it was RGT one time, and then a couple of people, man, we're about to reach another gaming crash or whatever crash in the gaming industry, another crash. I'm like, what are you talking about? Maybe we're in a little bubble called Nintendo where everything is going crazy with these theme parks opening. Nintendo selling the most.
Nintendo's
the Switch selling more and more.
Well, he's technically correct because of the current situation with everyone else. It is crashing a little bit.
AAA studios are learning a hard lesson right now.
Yeah,
but Nintendo hasn't come out with their Ace card yet. With the next console, so we'll have to wait and see where that goes. But I think Nintendo will have a monster of a successful Switch 2 launch, and will ride the momentum there, and they can actually bring things back up again. But AAA development's way too expensive, and they're having to bleed a lot of employees out of their jobs right now, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing the give in that aspect for Sony and Microsoft.
I think a few things have happened with all that. I think one, AAA games, people. They started focusing on we got to go for the bleeding edge visuals. We got to do this. We got to do that. And got away from trying to make interesting products and interesting, unique games. And so they kind of lost what actually makes people want to play games in the first place. It's not just pretty visuals. If you listen too much to the online crowds, they'll talk about they'll fight over the strands of hair and the pimples on the face. And, oh my gosh, I can see the eye lines with the aging. Meanwhile, none of those people are talking about how fun the game is to play, which is why people buy video games in the first place. It's not fun. Eventually, people just aren't going to want to play. Look at the most popular games in the world. You're looking at Roblox. You're looking at Fortnite. You're looking at Minecraft. None of these games are like bleeding edge visuals. They're just
Yeah.
really, really fun to play, and then they'll do what they can with the visuals that is good enough. Even look at Tears of the Kingdom last year, sold 20 million copies, and it is not like a visual feast game compared to the rest of the industry, but it's so fun to play that it didn't matter. It sold 20 million. Now, I know Zelda's obviously established IP a little different, but and so I think AAA industry is just learning a hard lesson. I also think the AAA industry is learning another lesson, and this is something that I've been thinking about this for a while, since Tom Henderson last year said that, hey, in 12 to 18 months, we're going to hear a lot of these AAA games also on Switch too. Paul Gale Network coming out and saying like, hey, all of his buddies where people weren't interested in Switch 2017 are really interested in Switch 2. I think a lot of third parties have some regret at not getting on the Switch bandwagon really early in the life. Like, it's hard to get in late. If you don't build the repertoire with the fans early, they're not gonna buy your stuff late. You gotta get in there early. You gotta build faith with the consumers, because Nintendo fans are a very loyal bunch when we're buying video games. And if you show support early and often, we'll probably keep showing up for your stuff if you keep delivering a quality product. We were buying Doom. We were buying Doom Eternal. We were buying Wolfenstein. We kept buying them until, they stopped releasing games. They're working on some new stuff. It's coming. They got some pretty big games coming from that studio, but we'll see if it ends up on Switch 2. Now that Microsoft owns it, it probably will. They're third party everything. It seems like.
Yeah.
But no, just bringing all that up is, I feel like if you're struggling now today, people don't like to talk about this, but in the dedicated gaming space, setting PC aside, they are the biggest overall market, and they always will be, because it's a continuous market. It doesn't have new generations. It just exists, right? Switch is the market leader, and no one wants to talk about it. You combine PlayStation 5 and Xbox sales together, Switch is like 50 mil clear of both of them. And if you aren't trying to build your game for the biggest market, you're not going to see the sales. Like, yes. I think it would be insane. Like, if GTA 5, I'm shocked GTA 5 never came over, just because you're missing a market that could have gave you an extra 10 million in sales. And now it seems like they're rethinking it, right? They brought over Red Dead 1. We'll probably get Red Dead 2 on the Switch 2. We may get GTA 6, maybe not at launch. They might keep it just PlayStation, and then they'll, around the time they bring it to PC, maybe they finally bring it over. But to me, and I understand the reason it happened is because the AAA industry bet incorrectly. They bet in the wrong direction with pushing hyper visuals and pushing gameplay a little bit down the notch. And there's some franchises like Call of Duty that can do that. Call of Duty has amazing gameplay on top, but that's established IP. When you're launching a game like Concord, it doesn't feel original enough. It doesn't feel different enough from what's out there. You're chasing. And there's all this chasing. To me, and I know I have Nintendo bias in saying this, but I do play on everything. I just feel like I can't remember a time outside of Wii that AAA studios just skipped the market leader. Just outright skipped it. Just said, hey, you know what? We ain't going. We ain't going to play in your playground. Well, how your financials doing when you're not on the market leader? That potentially could have got you. That's obviously just potential. You got to build the game for the system. I'll give one example of a market leader, a company that did bet, and it did work out. And this game is now on other platforms. Monster Hunter Rise has 8 million in sales on Switch. Capcom said, hey, we are going to get... Now, there was a timed exclusivity thing, but what did they do? They built it originally from the ground up for Switch. They built it for that audience. Now, I understand why everyone's building it for PlayStation. They're Mr. Consistent, right? 100 million sales every gen. I get it. 100 million sales every gen. Bet on PlayStation. It makes sense. Or does it make sense?
I'm sorry. I'm having too much fun here with these guys in the chat.
Yeah. So that's my little spiel there. I'm like, does it make sense? Maybe I understand coming into the gen why it made sense to all bet everything on PlayStation. But, maybe old Nintendo. And now, like, look at the projections. Almost every analyst thinks Switch 2, as long as they don't botch the name and all this stuff, is going to just be massive, like out the gate. Now
Yeah,
third party
Switch is kind of its own bubble, right? Came out in 2017,
Yeah.
midway through the PlayStation 4's lifespan.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like its own generation.
But then everyone likes like, oh, third parties. Hey, we're gonna, oh man, PlayStation 5 is coming 2020. We're betting big on that. And it's like, okay, well, Switch has been here this whole time selling 15, 20 mil a year, and you're just ignoring this platform that everyone's buying, and it's just blowing past everything. So, and again, I get it. A lot of it, a lot of the types of games they make, oh yeah, that wouldn't look good, or oh, can you imagine if Cyberpunk was on? I mean, yeah, you know what? I could imagine Cyberpunk being on Switch if they built it originally from the ground up for the platform before bringing it elsewhere, which they never would. But if they had, Cyberpunk would have sold very well if it was purpose built for Switch. But it's very hard to convince a company who all your success has been on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox to bet big on a Nintendo system. It's very hard to convince a company to do that. But I think that's why we're hearing so many third parties are now in on Switch 2. Because they realize, well, if Nintendo is doing this iterative thing and we have the dev kit, we know what this is. Oh, we really like what Nintendo's doing here. They're going to keep their audience. This looks like a device that's going to keep that audience. We want to be there.
There are two huge genres that Nintendo has missed out on with Switch, and that is Souls likes and open world games. So like with Switch 2, you're going to get all kinds of those games coming on it. Plus you're going to have all kinds of first person shooters, and you're going to have all the AAA third party support. It's going to be insane, guys. I'm not kidding. It's going to be crazy. I hope you guys are in the chat are excited, because I'm getting excited just thinking about it, because it's really going to have the opportunity to have pretty much all the new games coming out for it. Even if they're downgraded with the settings, it's not going to matter. People will buy it all on the Switch too.
Yeah, and like it's going to look good in dodge mode. In handheld mode, who knows? I think Nintendo will end up having multiple power profiles in handheld like they do now. Like they'll have their maximum battery one, but then they'll also have what they're comfortable with temperatures being at. So you might end up, guys, with a 10-watt possible handheld mode that just gives you an hour and a half of battery, but it'll be for the most intensive games that want to use it. I just feel like the Switch 2 is so perfectly positioned at the moment, and I know I'm very biased. I get it. I know about my bias for Nintendo. But dude, can you blame me? Look what they're doing. This is the last full year of just Switch, supposedly. Again, we don't have a release date for this thing yet. Just an announcement time frame. That's a very long announcement time frame, but an announcement time frame. But assuming it comes out next year, it's the last full year of Switch. And while Nintendo is clearly bringing like their B team games all year long, dude, the system's still selling 2 million every quarter. It's just no price drops, nothing. Just keeps selling. Games that they release, they're all million sellers. Like it or not, they just keep selling a mil plus. Their Echoes of Wisdom, probably going to sell 5, 6, 7 mil. No problem for them. Jamboree, yeah, that's a B tier game for them. Yeah, it might go on to sell 15 million plus because this is Nintendo.
It's Mario Party.
It's Mario Party. Like it just does numbers. And if it's actually really, really good, it will get that support. So I just... Nintendo is just they've been in this bubble avoiding all this, and I know when they go to their next system, Furukawa's talked about it. Games are going to get more expensive to make. He talked about how like they can't avoid the games will get more expensive. I just don't think Nintendo's going to see the leap that everyone thinks they're going to see. I've seen some people say like, well, when they get to the next system and they finally have PlayStation 4 and 5 level stuff, for the power, that's going to make Nintendo, you're going to start having $200 million budget games, and I'm like, maybe Zelda. I don't think the Monolith Soft team that's going to be cooking on that thing is about to drop 150 into the next Xenoblade. I don't think that's just not how Nintendo operates. Like the price might go up an extra 10 mil, but they're not. Nintendo has staff. They don't have to hire like the staff that made the current one isn't changing. That team's still there, still getting paid full time, still going to be making the next game. I don't think people truly understand that like Nintendo outside of Retro Studios doesn't do these temporary hire shit. They don't have to boost their team by, temporary 500 employees. They add like 100 to 200 every year, and they just keep them.
Yep. They stay there forever. They work there for the rest of their life.
That's Nintendo's goal. They want to keep the talent. When you maintain the talent, it ends up not being as costly in the end to make games. Now, it is costly when you're having a down period. Absolutely. Because you have these thousands of developers, and all of a sudden, if you're in the red like during the Wii U, you're going to lose money. It's costly. But what did Nintendo do? Hey, we ain't gonna fire anyone. We're gonna cut their money. we'll cut our own. And I understand that there's actually some legal requirements where they're supposed to do that before they downsize. So I get that Furukawa might have in Japan had to do that before he could fire anyone, even though it looks good publicly. But it obviously paid off for them, keeping the developers around, keeping the talent, because the talent was able to bounce back with a system that they wanted to develop for. There was an interview I saw with a former employee that mentioned that Nintendo, when they conceptualized Wii U, they never talked to the developers on if they even wanted that thing. I was like, wait. Miyamoto came up with an idea and then he didn't even talk to any of your developers to see if you wanted to develop for that? Oh, well, that might explain why you released so few games on it and everything was coming to 3D. Because your teams didn't actually want to make games for that thing. So your own teams are kind of not all in on Wii U. Suddenly, all your teams are in on Switch. Who knew? And you don't give them an option, and you only have one device to make for. Everyone's got to be all in. Anyways, yes, by the way, Demonic Brawler, that is a 69. You guys, the streak has been extended for those who know what's up. And now I have to chug a beer. Since I have to chug a beer, maybe we should move on to our last topic, Eric, before the Q&A.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, man?
So there is a certain Nintendo game coming out tomorrow that I'm pretty sure everyone here is going to be getting. Pokemon, or, you know, and maybe not. Maybe
who
not.
plays Zelda games?
Yeah, right.
Right.
No one plays Zelda games.
So Echoes of Wisdom.
Hold on. I can't play that woke crap.
Yeah, right.
It's not starring Link.
Yeah, right. How dare I?
Crap out of here.
Right.
Another Zelda's Adventure, everyone. Skip it.
Oh, you do play as Link for a little bit.
Zelda.
Yeah. They're messing me up, man. I'm playing as Link or no go.
Yeah, right.
So I'll just mess with you guys.
So I was just kind of looking through the internet because Nintendo did drop a launch trailer today as well. So that kind of got me thinking a little bit on that. And then I found some review scores. And honestly, it's looking pretty good. So just kind of go over those a little bit right now.
In a Hyrule.
All right, it's got to be there. We go.
Fine. It looks like My Nintendo News gave it a 9.5 out of 10. Famitsu looks like it's a 35 out of 40. And obviously these are, as of right now. And it looks like Open Critic, it's an 85 top critic average with 89% critics recommended. And then Metacritic, it's 86 on that. As we're seeing the trailer here. So the questions that I have, and sorry, I did also find on here, there is an ask the dev about this game too. And it came out that during this ask the dev that the map is 8 times the size of Link's.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's huge.
That is insane.
That's big. Yeah.
And then one last thing that I did just kind of find really kind of funny. Anumo said that he's already played the game 8 times.
Wow.
But that kind of leads me into some questions that I have for you. What are you looking forward to the most with this game? And then if you guys have anything, what do you think is going to be the biggest twist, or what type of enemies would you like to see come back, into this game from other games, or, nods to other games that, that they could make in this one?
Yeah. Calamity Ganon. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. For me, I think I want to see, the best use for, how different people solve different puzzles using their echoes and things like that. Just talking with Nate, Thunderstash, Game Junction, with the 4 of us on the podcast, the main core, just kind of seeing how everybody beat the different, areas and stuff like that with their echoes and stuff like that. That's kind of what I'm looking forward to the most out of this.
How about the for you, the shocking thing that could happen in the game?
I honestly don't know. I didn't come up with that one. That's one of the things I did not come up with, and because I'm not a creative person. So,
I hope
Goomba appears in it. There you go.
I really hope that Link is the final boss, like a version of Link. I know whoever goes into the void or the rifts come back evil, or a version of them come back evil, right? That's part of the thing, right? I'm not leaking anything, right? So so I know that they're eventually, I think we already saw a Dark Link somewhere in the game somewhere. So I know that that's going to happen there. I think I heard that there was a playable Link at the beginning of the game, and that I think everybody assumed that already. Wow, fighting.
Yeah, we weren't supposed to know that, but then somebody, Bo Talks Games, that little nifty guy decided when he was playing the demo at PAX.
Yeah, well, the game leaked too, right? So
well, yeah, it leaked, but I'm not talking about those leaks, because obviously we don't get into like the actual game leaks. But when he was playing the demo at PAX, he hit the pause button and hit new game, and sure as shit, it loaded a new game.
That's hilarious.
With playable Link, so it was like, whoops. Nintendo was trying to keep that one under wraps, but it's in the reviews as well. I think some of the reviews.
I mean, it was an assumption from the beginning. When I saw Link fighting Ganon, I know that that's a real fight that we're going to go through once we defeat Ganon, then the thing kicks in. And
the question is, if it's a real fight, what happens if I die?
You die.
You
then
die
I
in
guess
real life.
Echoes of Wisdom doesn't begin.
You die in real life.
I created a new timeline.
You die.
I created a timeline where Zelda was never the hero.
Yeah, you die. What was the first question, Eric?
What are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking most forward to guess beating the game.
No.
But I mean, Echoes. Actually, the Echoes is what I'm most excited about, because there's a lot of them you can make, and so like you said, to see what people come up with these Echoes, and how creative you can be to go from point A to point B. That, and of course the big surprise to me is maybe Link fighting Link at the end of the battle. Zelda versus Link. And then all of a
sudden, that happened. That was in the preview. Yeah, the thing we're watching here is it happens early in the game.
Okay. So what I want is I want Zelda to defeat Ganon, and then evil Link comes in there, and then he says, "Zelda, you have to kill me to defeat me." And so then Zelda throws a chair at him, or an echo
at him
from the top ropes,
or a table or whatever, like a rock, right? And then Link dies, and then all of a sudden Zelda runs to him and holds him in his arms and says, "Link, why?" And then Link says, "Because," and then he dies at the time, and that's the entire.
Zelda creates an echo of Link and all Links going forward, and all that echo.
It would be cool if at the end the entire place is destroyed, and then Zelda just has to create echoes of everything, and she goes crazy because she's all by herself in Hyrule, and with all these echoes that are not real people, So that's.
That doesn't sound like she has too much wisdom, though, if she did that.
Maybe it's the wisdom. It's not the wisdom.
The wisdom.
Oh, gotcha.
Wisdom.
That was good.
Wisdom.
The wisdom.
That just happened. The wisdom.
Yes.
The wisdom.
Mike, you can say some of the craziest things.
That's pretty good.
Kind of reminds me of back in the day when I was in high school. Guys would talk like that all the time about games.
Yeah.
I'm just
wild imaginations.
So, Dave, what are you most looking forward to?
I'm open minded with it. I don't really have anything I'm expecting too crazy, but what I am looking forward to the music. I want to hear all the different tracks, see how good they are compared to the older games, and see how many remixes there are, and see how many original tracks there are. I'm always interested in that in these games. They're always done so well with the music.
I already heard the whole soundtrack, so I've been spoiling that one. Is beautiful. Yeah.
Damn it, Mike.
Okay.
What?
Damn it, Mike.
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, he's special over there.
But yeah, there's nothing like in particular I'm really like super like anticipating. It looks like a really fun game, so I just want to see where they go with it.
Mm.
No, what about Stash over there?
Okay. Biggest twist that I was thinking of would be interesting.
Pretzel.
Um, a
Mike,
light and dark world would always be cool. I love that sort of twist. And I don't think that's very realistic, obviously, because we have the void. But any sort of time traveling would be interesting, where like maybe you go to a past timeline that we witnessed in another Zelda game, for instance, like
With an ocarina?
or like a Link to the Past, right? Because I remember when they first showed the initial trailer, right? A lot of people were looking at that trailer, us here too. We're like, this looks like a Link to the Past. Like some of these areas look like a Link to the Past.
I can interrupt you for 1 second.
Yeah.
Technically, right now in the U.S., the game is officially available to play if you have a digital copy.
What? Where?
Ooh.
If you have a
Yeah,
digital
it's like
copy.
after. Yeah, it's the time to play it now.
Yeah, it's right now. It's available right now.
It's available.
We're not playing it on stream right now, guys, but
Nice.
enjoy if you guys are playing while we're talking about it.
All right. Where's my controller?
So yeah, any sort of time traveling aspect would be interesting as far as a twist, right? Obviously, as far as enemies go, I think just seeing classic enemies, I appreciate seeing classic enemies return. So I would like that. I think the thing I'm looking forward to the most, because like I know about the game, like I know the premise, we all know it from the trailer, but I haven't heard it, right? And again, just like David said, I'm really looking forward to the soundtrack because I'm a huge fan of the Legend of Zelda soundtrack of all the games. I'm a huge fan of the Mario music. A lot of the music that Nintendo produces is amazing. Was it Koji Kondo?
Mm-hmm.
Dude's the man. He is the man. I love the music. Love it. It's timeless. Stuck with me my whole life. So I'm really looking forward to hearing the soundtrack. And I guess one other thing that I'm interested to know if it's going to make a comeback. And Mike, if you know the answer, please do not answer. I am curious if the Triforce is going to make a return.
I do not know that.
It's been a long time.
I know some Zelda YouTubers have been hyping up this game, like who've been playing it, that are like, the story is yes. And I'm like, okay.
That's
Thankfully,
all you need to know.
Spoiling it, but it's like they're hyping it up, like lore wise and story wise. Like, here's the thing. One thing we got to remember, guys, is while this is an open game, it still has a bit of a linear progression, which allows them to go back to more of the traditional storytelling. So like, there's this could be a lot deeper than what we were getting with Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild.
Mm-hmm.
That was what I was most curious about. When I'm playing the game is like, are we going to get significant story? Like we haven't gotten with the past couple of games. And then I think the other thing for me is I'm just curious the gameplay, how it feels playing as Zelda, versus just Link, if it feels any different. Kind of like the Mario to Luigi sort of difference,
Like the jumping higher and the floaty jump and stuff like that, you mean?
Yeah, just if
Yeah.
it like feels any different, because like obviously we can compare that to like Link's Awakening, right? The remake. So I'm definitely curious with that, but the story is the biggest thing for me. This is my most hyped game of the year, so all of it I've just been following, and I mean for me that's it. Story mostly.
So you mean like a bigger story other than what goes on to make Zelda the playable character? Like what is behind that, right? Like something deeper other than that? Because I mean, we probably know why the rift's open and she's only the only one there to save her. But you want something deeper than that, right? More into the lore of the game, connected to something else rather than just having this individual story. Led, right? Like Link's Awakening it was just like a dream and that's it, ends there. And then this one, you want this to be connected more to the main franchise, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to see how deep it gets to the story, because we didn't get that with, as much as I love, Tears and Breath of the Wild, we didn't really get that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very minimal story. So curious to see how they do the storytelling in this game.
Interestingly enough, when I heard that when I saw Zelda as a playable character, and I love the TV form they have. I love Link's Awakening. I'm just disappointed that we're not getting an amiibo of this cuteness here. But I didn't really
Yet.
Yeah, I didn't really react in a way that would say, "Oh my God, Zelda's a playable character." I just saw it. I saw it the same way I see other Zelda games, because to me, Zelda's always been a powerful character.
Yeah,
This is the same Zelda who took Calamity Ganon for 100 years while Link took a nap, and just kind of, did that. And again, she was in Tears of the Kingdom. She wasn't captive. She was in the past doing her thing. Then she sacrificed herself, became a freaking spoiler.
Spoiler alert.
Can I say it?
What are you doing?
It's already been a year, right? Can I say it?
I don't care.
She
No one's
became,
buying the game anymore. The sales are shit. So if you own it already and don't know, all right.
yeah, she became a freaking dragon, and then spent the how long? Even longer as a dragon.
Wait, this could be the test on spoilers. Eric, do you know this?
Yes.
Okay, well, if Eric knows, then everyone should know.
Yeah.
He's
So
the lowest player ever.
Zelda is born for this role. She's she's
Poor guy.
pretty powerful.
my instant thought, as cheesy as it is, I just instantly thought of Zelda's Adventure in the CDI because I have it.
Oh yeah.
Played it probably more than most people, I would say. I played it back in the day and stuff. And I just thought about that instantly. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, it seems like it's been long enough,
Mhm.
I'm surprised we haven't gotten another game playing as Zelda.
Yeah.
It's been that long, so.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like for me, even like watching this footage is from Zeltic's preview. Shout out to Zeltic. I look at a lot of this as like, yeah, I'm really interested in the lore. I've always been a big lore head with Zelda, and I'm really deep into that stuff. But honestly, I don't know that I even care as much about the story, because the gameplay looks so great.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm very fascinated in the ecosystem, and I know, like any system like this, you can become super reliant on like the couple echoes you might use for the whole game or something. But I actually want to try to use a variety to do different things and get different unique gameplay experiences, especially like the first time through. Like when I was playing Tears of the Kingdom doing it on last year, everyone kept yelling at me like, "Why aren't you just getting on the speeder bike?" And dude, I didn't even make the speeder bike until after I beat the game, because I don't want to just do what everyone's doing. Yeah, it makes the game easier. I don't want to do it that way. I want to try new, unique, different things, build my own things if I'm going to build. If I'm not going to build, okay, well, if everyone is solving this with building, then how would I solve it without building? And like with echoes, yeah, echoes are required things. So if everyone's using, say, beds and let's not go with like getting to platforms, because I think that's going to be all pretty similar, beds and tables and the springs. But let's say attacking enemies, well, everyone's just bringing out the P hat to attack everything. That's cool. Well, what if it's actually better if I bring out the bunny? Has anyone tried the bunny on this boss yet? Anyone done it yet? No one's tried. Well, shit, let's do it.
What are you talking about?
Because you can make an echo of all the enemies. I read a lot of the reviews, and there was a heavy reliance on people bringing out the P hat. And I'm like, well, did you try like other things? Or did you just lock in that I'm using the P hat for everything? How do you know that's the best thing to use in this circumstance? Because you're not trying everything else.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know you can't combine certain echoes together? That's a better combo. And that to me is the beauty of this game, is there will be people that do this, like lock in the P hat and use that for a boss fight. And that's fine. But I'm not that kind of person. I like to experiment and try different things and get different experiences and see if there's different ways to beat things. It's kind of like I'm always reminded of going back to that whole E3 2016 when I was told not to go this way because I'm going to die. And I said, "You want to fucking bet?"
Right.
Oh, you did. And then they set my camera down And I beat it that time. Like I died the first time, and then I beat
right.
it the second time.
Right.
And they set my camera down because she was so mad I didn't listen to her. The rep that I didn't listen to her. And then Eric's like, dude, she didn't record that. I'm like, what? And she's over there folded arms. She stepped back. She's just pissed at me.
Right.
And I literally like, look, I'm from Zelda Informer, man. Like, you're gonna tell me that I can't do something because I'm gonna die. I'm gonna prove you wrong because I'm a Zelda guy. Like, come on, you can't tell me
This is my jam.
like you can't tell me that it's too hard for me. That's basically what she said. I'm like, no.
You're right.
It ain't gonna be too hard for me. But that was the thing, like doing something that you wouldn't think about, something that's unexpected, something that's different. And that's what I like about this game. Like, it's one of my favorite things about Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But yeah, the freedom of exploration is like my favorite thing in those games, but also the freedom to solve things in all these different ways. Like, it was mentioned at the very beginning, you guys want to watch other streamers and other content creators and other, people and hear the way that they solve something, or they fought this, or they did this. And I feel like for some people, we're going to hear a lot of the same things. But the beauty is you can hear something totally different, totally crazy, something totally strange, that someone did something with an echo that they got before you got it to do it on this thing and try this and do that. And that to me is what I'm really fascinated about, because it's very much, I guess one of my favorite things in this new era of Zelda is the play your way. It's very much a play your way era that we're in.
Yeah.
And while my most exciting part of this era is obviously going to be in the 3D games, like I'm very fascinated how they made this work in a 2D space. They did that dev interview. The dev interview is on part 4 now. I don't know if there's a part 5, but
no, I've only seen part 4.
well, I know it'll say at the bottom if a part 5 is coming.
I don't think there is.
So it might be the end of it, part 4.
I think that's it.
Yeah, because it was right before release. But there's like so many fascinating things they did in this game to make it work the way it was. Like, this was originally a dungeon maker game. Like, and when I say originally, I don't mean like, oh, it was just a one-off idea. No, they actually were developing this game as a dungeon maker. And then a year in, Aonuma was like, what if we take these copy abilities, put them in the overworld, and scrap this whole dungeon thing? Just Miyamoto flipping the T-table. Like, I wonder how that felt for him in that moment, because Miyamoto's done that to him. Like that just flipping the T-table on everything you've been doing for a year and saying, actually, this is cool, but like I think it'd be more fun in this way. And like I'm very excited too, because while we have dungeons and Tears of the Kingdom and in Breath of the Wild, they're still very much trying to, I feel like, figure out what dungeons can be with this new freedom. I think they're still, I don't know if they've nailed it yet, is what I'm saying. Like, the dungeons are fun, but like, what was the most fun dungeon Tears of the Kingdom? Like, for me, it was the Gerudo dungeon. Why? Because it forced you inside of something that took away a lot of the things that you would do in the other dungeons, like flying around, and like you were forced into corridors and into tight spaces and having to solve things, and the mirror puzzles, and that felt very traditional Zelda while still maintaining all the gameplay that's there. And you might have solved the mirror puzzle in a different way than I did, and that's the beauty of it. There's not just one solution to it. But the point is that it restricted you a little bit. What's some of the most fun shrines? The ones where they take away all your shit and say, have fun, figure it out. Now you don't have your shit to rely on anymore. So that having that freedom's great, but then I think they're still sorting out the balance with all that freedom and making compelling dungeons. But in this game, supposedly, based on the reviews, they're kind of back to traditional dungeons. And I'm curious how this freedom of gameplay is going to work in a more traditional Zelda dungeon. So, like, I'm just so ready to explore this game, have a lot of fun. 8 times larger than Link's Awakening. That's crazy. How do these echoes function in the side-scrolling sections? Can't wait to fuck around with that and probably screw myself over. It's going to be fun. I'm excited.
Does anyone? I know I am, but is anyone playing on hero mode? Because I want to get my ass kicked.
Yeah.
I enjoy the abuse
From the beginning, I'm doing it.
I'm debating.
Nope.
I'm in debate. I'm in debate. So I originally said I was going to do it, and then I did when I beat Link's Awakening the other day, and the first time I've ever like played through the Switch version, I did it on hero mode. It was a vote at the beginning, so we did hero mode. And there were moments in it where I was kind of like, okay, some of this isn't because it's hard. It's just very tedious. Okay. And I hate that, like, I don't feel like I'm losing because it's hard. It's just tedious. And, you know, for me to heal myself, I have to go all the way back to the town, buy my potion, heal myself back up, then come all the way back out and pray to God I don't get hit by an enemy between here and there and fuck up. And that's fine. That's a challenge, but it's just like, it's not hard. It's just tedium. So I haven't decided yet because, like, obviously the way the game's intended to be played is without hero mode. But I'm very curious. Because guys, I'm going to be live streaming this tomorrow morning. So I don't know what my choice is yet, and the chat might help me choose. I haven't decided yet, but so I was going into this whole time with the mentality I'm going hero mode, and then I did the Link's Awakening one, and I beat the game. I think what I'm curious, and I didn't find this out in the reviews, is if hero mode can be toggled on and off.
Someone in chat said it can.
Yeah.
Or 10K Noodle said, I heard you can switch modes on the fly.
Okay, so if that's true, then that's one of those. I'll start off hero mode, and then if there's a part that I'm like, this is just super fucking tedious. Let me just turn this on so I can get hearts from the pots. I don't feel like having to run this a billion times because it's not. Because there is a point sometimes where it's not fun, where it's just kind of like I'm not failing because this is hard. I'm failing because it's just fucking tedious. But like the boss fights, I'd love to do all the boss fights on hero mode. Absolutely. I don't want to go smash pots and get extra hearts. No, I want to be good. But there are like some parts where it's just more puzzle based and the enemies are just kind of annoying. So if I can toggle it on and off, then maybe the real thing is I'll start hero mode, but I'll just kind of go back and forth. I don't know. We'll see. Because here's the thing: if the chat votes hero mode and I say hero mode, I'll have this whole thing in the pit of my stomach that I'm live streaming. I can't wuss out. We ain't going back to normal.
Usually when I play these games, I play what's intended, which is like I usually play like on normal mode if it's intended that way to be played first, and then I'll go with the harder mode later. Unless it's like a Souls game where you have no choice, then I enjoy the difficulty.
Maybe that's it. Maybe I do my first playthrough normal, and I just smash the story, and then second playthrough I 100% with hero mode.
I
That's
always
a good idea.
I always just go with like how it was intended. I've always done that.
I swear, if there's 1,000 Koroks to collect or something, though, I'm out on 100%ing.
Right.
I swear, if there's like a mechanic in there collecting 1,000 Koroks, I am out. Or seeds or something, I'm out. If there's more than that, I don't think they did. I didn't see any review mention or anything like that, but they don't 100% the game for reviews anyway. So
They don't even play the games.
That's a whole different story.
Yeah,
People that spent like an hour with the game and said, "Oh, I can write my review." I'm like, "Okay, cool."
Yeah.
I read
They
your
preview
review.
them
You
and
talk
review
about
them.
nothing that happened past the PAX demo. Got it.
Heck yeah.
What a review.
Do we know if there's going to be a dolphin echo?
I don't know. I haven't looked
That
at
would
the
be
echo
kinda
list.
funny.
I've intentionally not looked at the echo list because I want to discover it. On my
I get
own.
what you're going with there, Steve.
You get where I'm going there?
I do get where you're going with that one. That is a good one.
Brandon, you got any thoughts?
I mean, I pretty much agree with a lot of the stuff that was kind of said. I don't, as far as the mode, like I said, I played just normal, however it was intended. Yeah, I don't really have anything else to add to that.
I want to get my ass beat.
Look, we get it. You like ass beatings.
I really do.
I'll
Like,
remind you, dude. I'll have to remind your wife.
especially,
Good one.
well, especially with fast travel, though. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because if you do have to go outside and like go buy a potion, at least you have fast travel and you don't have to go across this map that's 8 times the size of Link's Awakening. But I just played through the original Legend of Zelda a couple of months ago, and I just enjoy that, man.
I like it too.
I'm glad that see. Here's the problem. I want you to get your ass beat, but I don't want you to enjoy it. So you ate that in and out. You're one of the shows, and ever since I'm like, God, I really want his ass to get beat. But the problem is,
Yeah, right.
well, it's not. That's not gonna work.
I like the challenge. You can ask anybody who's seen me play in person. I am the most patient player ever. I could lose 20 times and literally I just go back at it like it was the first time and try it again and again and again and again and again. Because I love puzzles. I literally love puzzles. And I can spend literally hours with one of these level something puzzles. So I'm off the back. I mean, I want to do the hard mode just because I might lose, just because they might kick my butt all throughout, and so I can get back at it,
But does the hard mode make the puzzles more difficult, or just the combat?
I think it's just the combat because the
Okay.
puzzles are laid out, right? And then there's no different way of solving them.
No, because some games do that. Like Resident Evil 4 Remake actually makes the puzzles harder in professional mode versus normal mode.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Last time I played Resident Evil was in PlayStation 1. So I should go back.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
You're missing out, man.
I am, yeah.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, the last I think I played Resident Evil and then I played Silent Hill and from on PlayStation 1, and those were the last two zombie games I played.
from what I read, I think it was like heart container, or not heart containers, but hearts. Like when you smash pots, there won't be any hearts.
Yeah, that's always in here.
The enemies, like you
Double
obviously they have way more health, right?
Mm-hmm.
So do you like the harder games in general, or do you like to just is it just for certain games like Zelda and other stuff?
Anything that has puzzles in it.
I like hard games.
Yeah.
I do. But I will say, especially for Zelda, I really, really enjoy the tougher challenge. And I think it's just because it reminds me, I think of my childhood, just growing up playing the original Zelda on NES when I was, 5 years old, and just getting punished by it, but not giving up. And I just like the toughness on that. The Master Quest, I really enjoyed that, of course. Yeah, also it makes the adventure, I think, longer, right? Because it's gonna take me longer to beat the game if it's harder, right? I'm probably gonna die a lot more.
Yeah.
And we only get so many Zelda games, right, in our lifetimes. And I just want that to last as long as it can. And when it is harder, it does last longer in that sense.
All right.
I agree, yeah.
I do have one more quick quote from the dev interview that I think is just absolutely hilarious. Aonuma, I don't think there are any other games where the player character can have a nice, peaceful sleep in a bed in the middle of a boss fight.
I saw that.
Recovery. Let's go.
Right?
And this bed's going to be the main character.
Yeah.
Right.
Does the bed give you back your energy, right? Your heart container.
Hearts.
Yeah.
So while you're fighting, you can just
Take a nap. Yeah, you pop an echo out, let it fight, let it sleeping.
That is hilarious.
Wow.
Yep. All right. Well, we're gonna get to the Q&A. Remember, guys, if you're watching the live version of the show, you can just super chat in your questions, and we'll try to get to them. We'll get through all of them, but whether or not we have a lot to say, who knows? This first one was one of the topic ideas that was submitted earlier from Demonic Brawler, saying, "I got a topic idea because obviously the leaked images of the Switch 2 came from an accessory company. What all new accessories do you think we will get, both first and third party, and what types at what cost?" The only thing I can think of in addition to what we talked about earlier would be something that exists on Switch, but I'd be curious if it would be through USB-C this time. There's an accessory out there, a couple of them, where you can expand the physical cartridge slot to hold like 6 different games, 7 different games. And I've used one before. I wasn't that impressed with it. It's kind of finicky.
How much did it cost?
I got $30. Something like that. It was off Amazon. It works, so that way you don't have to keep switching, especially when you're in dot mode. You don't have to keep switching out your physical cards. But you still have to stand up, go over to the system, hit a button, which kind of defeats the convenience.
Yeah.
Having multiple cartridges in, because at that point, just I got to stand up and go over to the system. I'll just swap the cartridges out. But I'm curious of
that's what we need AI for right there. Change our cartridge out for us.
right. Multiple CD changer. Come on. Yeah, this isn't new technology. So I could see something like that. Maybe if they find a way to through USB-C, because that wasn't an option on Switch to have some sort of way to convenient do that. They could find a way with the operating system to make it compatible. I don't know if Nintendo will allow that, but it would be interesting to me if they could find a way where I could just access it all through an accessory. Cause I don't think Nintendo would ever make one like that, but a third party definitely will. So
I think that the next Wii Fit will have as an accessory, what do you call that? The shake weight.
oh my
Oh, the
Mike,
shake weight. Yeah.
enough of the shake weight.
What is that?
You
Dare I ask?
Shake.
Remember the shake
There's
weight?
a ad seen on TV.
Pull the video.
Just Google the shake weight. It won't be gross. I promise.
It's not. Well,
People make jokes out of it, but it's a legit product.
Yes.
It does what it says.
I
It burns calories.
have one. Things
remember, ARMS is failed IP, so that's not going to happen.
Legs.
yeah, legs.
What
Nah.
what about a
Well,
vest?
you know what's funny about ARMS too? When people talk, because there's people that talk about it being a failed IP. I'm like it sold like 2.1 to 2.3 million. Look at fighting game sales. It's actually not that bad.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. It's
Yeah.
just whatever.
And here's the thing: we'll know if it's a failed IP if it doesn't come back. That's basically it, because it's one of those games like Smash, like Mario Kart's like a once per generation game. So we'll see if it comes back. If it doesn't, well then we know that okay.
Yeah.
I just hope we get a new 1-2 switch.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, legs. We need legs,
Legs. Or thighs. Listen,
elbows.
you know if that USB-C port on top is a data port, right? So you can export video, right? Then
And we don't know that for sure. Yeah.
if a good accessory, a third party could actually make a
Capture card.
a VR set, a VR
I
headset,
thought we capture card. Damn it.
like a
Direct capture footage to an external hard drive.
like an Apple, what do you call that Apple thing? I forgot.
Apple Vision.
Sorry, I'm a content creator, and I'm like, create something that's useful for the 1%. The 1%.
What about a
50
feedback vest? Have you guys seen those for VR?
Yeah.
That shocks you when you play, and if you lose.
Yeah. You play a
That'd be
boxing
awesome.
game, and it feels like you get actually punched in the chest.
That'd be cool.
Remember the one for Sega Genesis and Super Nintendo? The Activate or
The activator, right?
Yeah, Activator. Yeah.
Yep.
So if you play Battlefield, they shoot you, that you feel like the hits and stuff.
Yeah.
Feel what it's like to be shot.
Apparently.
well, you get shot in the game, you get shot in real life. Wait,
I wasn't thinking of a tap.
We need the game.
That's
center.
good.
Jeez.
Good idea, man.
Man, we got some good ideas for it out there. All right, our next one. We got Chris Gonzalez coming in here for $5 saying, as hyped as I am for Echoes of Wisdom and Switch 2, I'm looking forward. I just want to hear you all's opinion when Nintendo created Legend of Zelda will be coming out. Oh, so you mean like the next big 3D Zelda, I think is what you mean. Because like Grezzo, I know is a third-party company, but it's the one of the directors of the games from the Zelda team.
2026.
It will launch alongside the Nintendo Switch 2 OLED.
That might be legit.
that's actually not a bad idea.
But that doesn't tell me the year. I look, so I'm presuming the system comes out at some point next year. So it's 2025 release.
Mhm.
I think 2028. I think the Zelda team's been working on it since probably slightly before Tears of the Kingdom came out. So that gives it like 4 or 5 year development cycle right there if it pops out in 2028. So I'm on that now. I think they'll reveal it in 2026. They always reveal Zelda games years early. I don't know why, but they do. So we're going to see a trailer in 2026
Without the name.
Here's the thing: Zelda games are always delayed. So comes 2028, really coming out 2029.
Yeah.
The Legend of Zelda Wii U demo, full game.
Oh,
You get
That'd be
to
funny.
walk into the church and then fight the
spider.
spider, and then
let's go.
Yep,
that's a good one.
$70. Be worth it.
I'd pay it.
A lot of people would buy that actually.
Give us
People in the chat were asking for
totally
that.
buy that. I totally thought it was an actual playable thing.
I wasn't. Unpopular opinion, or like actually the most unpopular opinion ever. I wasn't too impressed with it.
Well, you know what?
You weren't too impressed with it in 2011
Show.
Yeah, Mike.
when they
Mike,
showed it.
I feel like because of what you just said, you're not welcome on for a month. When you're coming on again, anyways.
I'm gonna come out.
Yeah. I think it was Link's hat that didn't really look.
Yeah, Mike, you're officially kicked off the Halloween episode.
Yeah. I think Joyce also kicked me out of my own podcast for saying that.
Right?
Oh boy.
It wasn't cartoony enough for you.
So,
Yeah, it was a-
Brandon, give me a year. What year is the new big 3D Zelda coming out?
I think probably 2027, 2028. I think, like you said, that gives a significant amount of time. So they're probably, I would say,
mean, they're deep in development. I think at this point, they got all hands on deck right now.
They could be, yeah. They definitely at least had it conceptualized what they were doing.
Here's the Kingdom came out like a year and a half ago. They are deep in it now.
Yeah, I believe that. I think 2028 is a pretty solid year. I mean, how long was Breath of the Wild in development for again? I'm trying to remember.
5 years.
I think it was. I want to say 5. Well,
Yeah.
Well, so yeah, because
It was basically done 2016, and they kind of ported it
yeah,
over
that's
to-
why I'm
to
saying 5.
Switch.
I think it was technically 6 between the games coming out,
Mhm.
but I think it was 5 years of like real game development.
Yeah, so I think
I played it at E3 2016, and
Yeah.
it was done pretty much
Yeah.
on the
It was
Wii U.
flawless. It was flawless.
Mhm.
yeah, so that's a good chunk of time, I think, and kind of makes sense. It lines up with, previous game stuff. So
Cool. Eric?
Yeah, probably that 27, 28 timeline. It just makes too much sense. It
Okay.
really does.
Stash.
Well,
I think 2028, 2029. Yeah, I think it's going to be a later Switch 2 game, but it'll be well worth it.
Funny thing,
So-
you say late, that's like probably the middle of the generation. It's probably
Well, Nintendo still thinks it's the midway point for Switch 1. Probably they'll probably keep saying that.
Yeah, right.
They were saying that for like 5 years. So
6 years in a row, yeah.
yeah,
Midway point, like, okay, it's year 2. What are you talking about? It's
Yeah.
year 6 now. We're still in the midway point.
5 years in, we just getting started. Yeah,
they're at the midway point until they break the record for systems sold.
I do think we're getting the Ocarina of Time remake before that.
okay. Thanks, Mike.
is it actually rumored
think
for
that
real?
Too
That's-
much sense.
It's speculation. I wouldn't say
Okay.
there's a real rumor for it. Speculation based on things Numa keeps saying, but
Yeah.
it doesn't actually mean it's happening.
So like my prediction falls in line with that as far as like when we're actually going to get the new Zelda, because I'm not expecting us to not have a new Zelda, so to speak, on Switch 2 until then. But I think we're going to get Ocarina of Time first, and then we'll get the brand new Switch 2 3D, open world Zelda. But, I was just double checking again at the dates here. So the first Zelda came out, of course, it came out in 1986 in Japan, 87 here. So then I'm thinking, like, what's Nintendo going to do for the 40th? You got to imagine they want to have, like, some Zelda game released, right?
Maybe
For the 40th anniversary.
Oh, sure, yeah.
they ignore other anniversaries quite
And-
often.
And the theme park as well. They're on the Legends of Hyrule is under construction right now.
Yeah, it'll probably open for the 40th. But the thing is that is it going to be the Japanese 40th or United
Yeah.
States 40th?
True. Yeah.
So is it going to be 86 or 87?
It's got, I would think, 86 is what they're going to count.
So I would almost say, like, if they went 87 hypothetically, I could see then 2027 being the next big brand new Zelda game on Switch 2
Mm-hmm.
with maybe an 86 so 1986, so 2026 we're getting Ocarina of Time remake.
Yeah, I can see that.
I really do believe we're getting that.
Yeah, no, I do too. For
Well,
sure.
I think we're getting Zelda next year.
It's just intuition.
Mhm.
That's I don't have any links to anything. It's just I
Yeah,
really believe it's going to happen.
it's a good.
We'll probably talk about it in a year or so.
See, I do have a little bit of a gut feeling that they might show off
I
the
also have a
3D
gut.
Zelda next year, the new one that's going to come during the Switch 2 generation, because think about when Tears of the Kingdom was teased 2019, when did it come out? 4 years later, right? So I feel like they might do like a very early, just to hype people up, because I feel like they give Zelda a longer hype cycle.
Yeah.
So they'll do that, and then like 2026, if Ocarina of Time is a thing,
Mm-hmm.
they'll reveal it then and drop it that same year. That's kind of just what I'm feeling at the moment, but we'll see. I feel like they want to reveal the new 3D Zelda sooner rather than later, just because they know it's a big hype game that could push the platform.
Yeah.
Like the traditional Sony thing. We show you a game and it comes out in 3 years, 4 years.
Yep.
kind of hype you. And they've I say it like oh, Nintendo doesn't do that. They do it with Zelda.
They do. Yeah.
Guys, Breath of the Wild was shown off in 2014. Came out in 2017. Like this is what they do with Zelda, like the big 3D ones. They tease you years before it comes out.
Mm-hmm. And it gives content creators 3 years of theories.
Well, you know what else we have to factor in too is the movie.
Yeah, movie too. Yeah,
like how is it? Like,
You
know, Nintendo obviously has a timeline of how they want to do all of this, like the promotion for the movie, the Switch 2 Zelda. You know, we're gonna have some older Zeldas re-released on Switch 1 after the Switch 2 comes out, like the Wind Waker Twilight that's obviously been rumored for years.
Maybe.
Is that something that will come to Switch 1 after Switch 2 came out in order to continue supporting Switch 1? You know, is it going to be a blowout for the 40th anniversary? Like, does the movie come out in 2026 and to celebrate the 40th anniversary of The Legend of Zelda?
That's a good timeline.
That'd be so funny if Twilight Princess and Wind Waker are Switch 2 HD releases, and people are like, "See, I told you."
Jeez.
Well, I would love it if it came out on Switch 1, but then
That's funny.
it was better,
On Switch 2.
like a better performance on Switch 2.
Yeah.
Like it takes advantage of the DLSS.
Yeah, and the AI upscaling. So 4K, play it in 4K on Switch 2, play it in HD on Switch.
Yeah. I think that'd be great.
Yeah.
Everybody wins.
But we still need an Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons.
That's what I was going to say.
Well,
I want Grant was working on those right now.
What we really need is the third one, right? Nate, the third one that never came out.
They're never gonna do it.
I know.
Ideally, that would be
Hey,
great.
but you know what? We all said they would never do Metroid Dread.
Yeah.
From the moment that was announced and scrapped for how long was it? Oh,
DS era.
How many years?
When it was announced.
But see, unlike that,
2004-ish, 2005
Yeah.
was when it kind
they
of.
did give us a combined ending, anyways. So like,
yeah.
and then again, they also eliminated the whole Tingle quest from the Wind Waker when they brought it back. So you know what? They can do whatever they want.
Yeah, that's wild. still.
Retcon everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's get to our next super chat. Cargood says, I think they tried to give a chance to Metroid in preparation for Prime 4. Luigi's just for completionists who want a full collection on Switch.
They don't have Luigi's Mansion 1 on Switch yet.
Yeah, they still need to get that over there.
Yeah, we don't have the complete Luigi's Mansion on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it will after Switch 2 releases.
No, I feel like
Cube and
It's not the 3DS remake.
you can say Metroid Dread maybe happened because of the long wait for Prime 4.
Mm-hmm.
I can maybe believe that a bit.
Yeah.
They obviously picked the right developer, Mercury's team. Awesome. I can't wait for their next Metroid game. It's going to be great. I mean, they have other stuff they make too, but they
I do feel like the game was priced affordably for a reason.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if Nintendo really wants, and we've talked about this before, but they really want to do their best to get Metroid to that higher tier, where Mario and Zelda are, then you're gonna have to maybe do things like that. That's why I'm like super interested to see how the promotional rollout's gonna go for Metroid Prime 4. Like, I really gotta believe they're gonna release 2 and 3, and I'm very curious as to how they're gonna do it. And I'm just like closely anticipating it, watching, because I really want them to do a good job with this. Because of course I want to see Metroid be successful, right? Yeah. So we get more Metroid games, and we're not waiting. How many years has it been since Metroid Prime 3?
It's been a while.
17 years.
17 years, man. There you go.
Wow.
Yeah.
2007.
Super Metal Dave.
That is crazy.
Knows it immediately.
Hey, that's not free. We got Other M in there. Come on.
People were born and graduated high school.
Other M 2010.
I love
that's not a real it's whatever.
We would say no Other M.
I mean, it's kind of an other Metroid, right?
But I love it. Pinball.
Other M slander.
That's what happens when Nate starts drinking. He starts defending Other M.
I love Other M.
Oh man,
it's okay. I know you're not a fan of it. I've heard your opinion a few times on your channel when it's come up.
What's other M about? Who's the other M?
It's about other Metroid.
Yeah.
That's exactly the point. What is it about? Yeah.
Here
Next.
I gotta bring that one back quick. All right. No. We had $20 in from Iron Templar. He said, my prediction is Nintendo is coming for Sony. Nintendo chose the Sue Pocket Pair for bringing Pal World to the PS5. Don't really think that's why they did that, but they will go after Sony for Astrobot.
No, I don't think so.
They can't go after.
They can't do that.
Result in them draining Sony's bank account or seizing IPs. Well, they can't go after Astrobot because it doesn't infringe on anything, unless you're going to say because he jumps.
Yeah.
He has boost of water. Is Mario Sunshine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They can't. No. And Pal World, but going after Pal World has nothing to do with Sony. So like,
Yeah. And
go after Sony. Astrobot's like a 94 overall, right? They're going to drop their new 3D Mario. It's going to be another 97, and it's going to win Game of the Year. That's how.
If anything, Nintendo should be happy with Astrobot. It gives them more incentive to make their next Mario even better because Astrobot's really well done.
Yeah.
Sony and Nintendo are closely becoming friends behind the scenes. They're developing the Legend of Zelda movie together. And then hopefully when PS2 comes out, they want to revive the franchise of Spider-Man 1, Miles Morales, push them over to Switch 2.
PS2?
Yeah, what?
Who's drinking?
Switch 2.
Which one? No.
Yeah.
So let me repeat what I said. Nintendo and Sony
My beer went straight to his belly.
are slowly becoming friends, right? They're kind of being friendly. And so they're developing the movie together, the live action movie of The Legend of Zelda, right? And
Yes, they are. Yep.
with that opens at least a little tiny light that Sony wanted to make more money on their games that are not selling as well anymore. Ports the first two Spider-Man and Miles Morales over to the Nintendo Switch 2.
See, you're hearing it first. We're getting Spider-Man 2. You know what? They just did Horizon Remaster. What they didn't tell you is it wasn't about the PlayStation 5 Pro. It's about the Switch 2. Mm-hmm. They're bringing. By the way, Horizon will probably sell well on Switch 2. After all, we're getting Horizon Lego, right?
Oh yeah,
introducing us to Alloy. So
that's another. Yeah, there you go.
Let me ask you this: if Nintendo's not competition,
that's what Mike's announcing right now.
guys, if Nintendo's not competition, right? As they say, they're not viewed as competition.
That's what they say.
Then why wouldn't you bring Spider-Man actually over to the Switch 2? If we're not
Nintendo
competition,
everything. Because if Microsoft's bringing everything over, and if Sony brings their stuff over, a lot of people just go, well, why don't I just buy the Nintendo system that has everything?
Sony just announced that the reason why they're porting games to PC is because it's more they have the money there, of course, but they say they make them exclusive on PlayStation because it's more convenient than PC, but they're doing both. So it's not out of the realm of possibility from the port to Nintendo. They're doing it with Horizon Legos, but I don't see them doing it anytime soon. I think it's a test. So you know how Nintendo does fans do with these tests. So they usually, I guess, pretty well. You go buy something that you don't want to get something you will want later. Mm-hmm. It's silly, but yeah.
Again, it could be time. For example, games like Spider-Man could be time. Like for example, Spider-Man 2. It's not gonna be on Switch 2 anytime soon. But 5-6 years from now, when the game is already died completely down, and they want to kind of try to revive it and gain more money for that, they can port it. So it's like they get the exclusive for a couple of years. After a couple of years, then they can port it over to Switch 2.
I mean, I love the idea.
Anything's possible these days, especially like I thought Starfield would never come to Nintendo, but I think it actually does have a chance for Switch 2 down the line.
Yeah, I think Microsoft's they're the company that everything is going to go third party. They're going to bring everything to Switch 2. I guarantee it. Phil Spencer was a huge fan of Switch, and he wants to get hey, there's always that dream he's had of Master Chief being in. You bring Halo to Switch 2, Master Chief will be in Smash Bros.
Yeah, I definitely could buy that now for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I think unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be a console manufacturer per se for very long.
Supposedly, the rumors have it there will be another generation of a home console Xbox and also a handheld. They're going to go try to Nintendo it, which it's interesting. I think the handheld is going to basically just be a handheld PC. I think they're just looking to compete with Steam Deck, which is fine. Actually, I'm actually cool with that because that's actually an exciting development for handheld PC, because that means Microsoft might actually care about making Windows usable on a handheld PC. So I actually like that development overall for the PC space. I'm very curious what the hell they're making a console for at this point.
But, right.
But maybe it's just because Phil Spencer has this thing that like we can't just let Sony just do whatever they want, or we're going to get like $1,000 PlayStation 6 or something.
I feel like they're still going to have like a streaming box available for purchase, but hey, our games are going everywhere. We want everybody to play them. We'll have this here if you don't have a PS5 or Switch, but you know, I mean, that's just
Stay tuned for our Xbox podcast coming in 2025.
Prime.
Which, by the way, I'm not opposed to starting podcasts for other ones, but I have to have other people host it. People might get mad if the Nintendo guys hosting those podcasts. Christian's second account. Again, this Christian guy, I don't know who he is, but thanks for your second account. So will you review Echoes of Wisdom tomorrow? Well, no, because I'll be starting to play it tomorrow. I think that's probably true for
You
all.
can still review it.
Yeah.
I could.
Yeah, right.
I'll probably get enough gameplay in as certain reviewers.
That doesn't stop other people.
No, so here's my plan at the moment. Next week's episode, we will be having a segment. One of our topics will basically be a pseudo review where we all discuss the game and kind of come to a conclusion on recommending if it should be played. We can maybe even give some ratings. Even if we haven't beat it yet, you can still give a rating for the game so far. So I'll have it beat before the next week's episode. I don't know if everyone will, but that's kind of the and even if it's not, we'll avoid ending spoilers and stuff like that, or we'll warn when spoilers are going to come up. We'll talk about that with everyone who's on the show ahead of time. Hey, if you want to mention this thing, just spoiler warning before you even bring it up. And next week it's kind of crazy because we have Hoops and Hip Hop on, John Ebo and Sumro Nation, and they all really wanted on that episode. So I think all of them plan to be beating Echoes of Wisdom by then.
Hey, next week the museum opens.
Yes, on
Next
the
Wednesday
podcast. I know. It's almost like we might be talking about that yet again when the impressions come in from people that aren't Nintendo.
Yeah.
So we'll see what's up with that. So yeah, none of us are planning to review Echoes tomorrow, right? Just to be clear.
No, I hope to have my review posted before our show next week. That's the goal, because I'm not going to rush through it, but I am going to play it all day. Like
a lot, yeah. It's the focus when the show ends, basically. It begins.
Yeah.
Wait. Oh, there's a weird order to this. Hold on, because this doesn't even work on. This isn't even much over the top of it. Do not forget, Metroid Prime 4 was introduced in 2017. Introduction to release. And then they go. This is like a 3 super chat thing. The work they have put in that game will show, because again was introduced in 2017, and then they say from intro to release has to be a record breaker. No, there's other games that have had longer intro to release. I mean, look, there's the one. What was the sequel to Shadow of the Colossus? That one had a really long intro to release. How many years was that? Duke Nukem Forever.
It was 10 years, right?
10 years. Yeah.
Duke Nukem Forever.
Yeah.
Duke Nukem Forever. That one too had a very long intro to release.
Wasn't it like 12 years development
For Duke Nukem Forever? Yeah, dude, it was pretty long.
Yeah.
So like, there's no way that like 2017 to 2025. That's gonna be what, 8 years? So
Yeah, it's not.
yeah. There's been. I mean, it's long. It's long for Nintendo, especially.
Final Fantasy 15 also was announced in 2006. Came out in 2016.
Yeah. So like, maybe a record breaker for Nintendo. I'd have to go look, but then you could argue, well, no, they never technically announced Metroid Dread, did they? I don't think that was ever announced.
It was in Nintendo Power. I remember.
I got 2 games,
but that's not an announcement.
I guess not a formal announcement.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
That doesn't count.
Those other games were formally announced, like they're coming.
Okay, Duke Nukem Forever, of course. That was 14 years.
Yeah.
That might be the record.
And 44 days. But here's another one. Do we count Beyond Good and Evil too?
I'm waiting for it.
Right? Because they did show footage of it, right?
Yeah, they did. They did. It's announced.
Holy crap. How long has this been? I mean, I know it's been
Not
long.
14 years yet, but it's been a
It's
while.
Yeah, it says Beyond Good and Evil 2 broke the record held by Duke Nukem Forever
It did?
for the longest development for a video game. It's more than 15 years now.
Oh my God.
2008 is when it was announced. So yeah, it's
How
been
long ago? Oh my God.
16 years.
16
Crazy.
years.
Oh my God. And they're supposed to still
Wow.
make it. The latest update is they're still working on it. I'm like, this is going to be like a 20-year developed game.
Great.
Oh
And it's we talked about this yesterday about these long developments. They never turn out good. Like in
Well,
most
it's never a good sign
Yeah,
if you need to spend that long making a game.
true. Yeah.
Man, dude, that is insane.
Yeah. It
So,
was UB Days in 2008.
yeah, so maybe this is a record breaker for Nintendo, and even then I hesitate. I'd have to double check. But yeah, no, the record's pretty long.
It's crazy.
Double it, and you're at you're at the record. Double it.
Most recently, Silk Song was announced in February of 2019.
But to the person's credit, I do think they put a lot of work into the game for sure. Now there was a reboot in there, we know that, so Switch developers, because Nintendo publicly announced it. But I do think that a lot of work has been put into it. I think it's at a AAA budget for a game series that has never sold as well as maybe they would like. And I do think Retro Studios did the best they could. They brought in a lot of really big name developers that worked in a lot of places, Call of Duty, Naughty Dog games. Like, they brought in a lot of big name people. So I do think that, look, let's just be clear. I don't think there's been anything that you could call a bad Metroid Prime game.
No.
I just don't think it exists. Like, even if you think 1 was peak, it doesn't matter. 2 and 3 were still excellent games. So this is going to be another excellent game. And this is going to have a Metacritic rating. I'm just going to throw it out there right now. Whether you care about reviews or not, it's going to be 95 plus.
Could be.
But,
Could be.
but is it going to get the recognition with people buying it? That's always the big question.
Yeah.
Reviewers have always recognized the excellence of Metroid Prime. The fans haven't always responded by buying it. So,
Yeah, a good example of that is Eternal Darkness on GameCube. I think that was like a 9.7
so
on
good.
Metacritic or something.
That game is
96.
so good.
It was crazy good, but then nobody bought it. So
Yeah.
So I'm not worried about how good the game is. So, like, if the whole point of those super chats were like, how great is this game going to be? Like, it is. It's going to be great.
Mhm.
I believe it. I just hope the response is that fans buy it, and I don't want it to just be like the best-selling Metroid game. I want this thing, if it can't beat out Forgotten Land in sales, and which is around 7 million. The Metroid just can't. At least Metroid as it is, it would have to fundamentally change the kind of game it is then at that point to get a wider appeal.
I think so.
I
too.
think there's one thing they could do to broaden the appeal of Metroid is just either make a movie or a live action series.
I think a Metroid. Here's the thing: I always thought Metroid would perform better as a movie or a series.
Yeah,
I think it would too.
Sci-fi
Yeah,
series.
sci-fi series would be awesome.
Yeah, if you make a really good sci, with a really good story, really compelling characters,
Mhm.
I think it'd be. I'm not worried about the popularity of Metroid affecting a Metroid movie, or because they would be introducing it. I kind of like they did with the Mario movie. They introduced it like it was like you don't know who Mario is, and we're
Exactly.
starting all over again. There's
Yep.
references in there, but like the movie starts from the very beginning. I think the Zelda movie is going to be the same way. It's going to pretend the audience doesn't know what Zelda is. I think that's what you have to do with movie series, and have to do with shows, because you are. Look, my kids know who Mario is, but how many kids maybe didn't? Because they
Yeah.
grew up with parents that played PlayStation, or grew up with parents that didn't game at all, and they go to the Mario movie because that's the new kid movie at the movie theater. So I do feel like a Metroid movie or show could actually end up doing some really good numbers, and that could drive interest to the games.
With an alien feel.
You know what would be perfect though is VR headset to be used for Metroid. Like if they ever did come out with a VR accessory, that game would be so perfect for it.
And then Kilo said the work they put in that game will show, which I do agree. I do not doubt the effort put into Metroid Prime 4 Beyond.
right.
It already looks excellent from the one trailer.
Yeah.
So like, I don't think any Metroid fan saw the Metroid Prime 4 Beyond trailer and went, "Well, this looks like shit." No, we
No.
all think it looks pretty damn good, especially when you consider that supposedly this is even visually this is running on Switch, and you're like, "This is a good game."
Well, you saw what remaster looked like, and that was beautiful.
in there with likely one of those fake Metroids, and this is awesome.
Yeah.
Looks good.
Everyone support Metroid. It's the only franchise Nintendo has that's like that. So it's real important, I think.
Yeah, and look, like people always talk about the Nintendo and graphical showcases. Metroid Prime is that. That has always been a visual feast.
They don't have Rare anymore, so
like if you want Nintendo to do more games like this, you gotta buy. You gotta show up. And I would love for Xenoblade to become a series like that with all that pushes it, but like I don't know. They just feel like they just never had the hardware to do it because they're making such these vast worlds. Maybe Switch 2 will be it. Maybe we'll finally see something. But because I'm excited for Monolith off with Switch 2.
This is the Kingdom is live right now.
But it feels like they're also held back. To me, Monolith Soft feels like they've always been held back by the tech because they're really trying to do something special every time, but like the tech just isn't quite there for them, or they don't have the budget. One of the two.
Downloading?
No, it's actually live.
No spoilers. I don't want to see first boot. No.
You have to update it
for the physical.
Mike, get out of here!
Wait.
Damn it, Mike! First boot is not going to be your Switch.
That's why people are leaving the stream. They're going to go play the game now.
Yeah, they probably already are playing.
What? Oh my God.
We've only lost like 20 people. Let's get to our next. Boom! Any $10 to do. Any of you ever experienced frustration when a new popular game is released and you're wanting to get the game play on your channel as soon as possible, but also wanting to enjoy the game at your own pace? Oh, that's like a content creator question.
Zelda.
Great question.
That is a very good question. When you want to get things up ASAP, but you want to play it at your own pace. I felt that crunch, not with a gameplay because I don't do like Let's Plays and stuff like that. But I did get a review copy of Sparks of Hope. And I wanted to get a review out on embargo day because I don't really do game reviews, right? But I was really excited for the game. So I knew I was going to play a lot of it anyways. So I just publicly said, hey, I'm going to review this game. Well, now I publicly committed without realizing that, like, I don't really play games like this. I don't binge games 10 hours in a row every single day. Mm-hmm. I still make other videos. I still have my kids. I'm not in my 20s anymore with nothing but free time. So, but I committed to it and I did it. I beat the game. Because I truly believe you should not review a game if you haven't beat it. I don't care. I'll say this. You can put out... because you shouldn't torture yourself. If you you're like 10, 12 hours, you hate this. Like, you don't need to force yourself to finish, to at least put out the opinion that this is a bad game. But I don't think you should give a score. I think you just give a recommendation of, if you're like me, here's what I don't like about it. Don't buy it. I think that's fine. Like, should you buy kind of videos? That I'm cool with. But like an actual full review with a score, definitely don't do that if you haven't beat the game. I just think that's unfair unless the game can't be beaten. It's broken. Yeah. Because again, I don't think you should have to torture yourself. If you really hate the game, don't force yourself to finish. But it's pretty rare that I really hate a game because I'm usually buying games I'm pretty sure I'm going to like before I play it. So it's usually not a problem for me. But every now and then I thought I was going to like Superman 64, and that was not it. That was not it. No. That being said, I did feel the crunch with that. And I regret it to this day that I forced myself to rush through Sparks of Hope. I have regret. Not just because the review, even if the review would have did numbers and it got like 200,000 views or something. I play games for me. I report on news and I talk about stuff because I really enjoy it, but I'm also doing it for the audience. We're having these conversations. You guys are involved in what I'm reporting and what I'm putting on my channel. Well, when I do actually play games, there's a reason I don't do a lot of live streams of me playing games. I'm doing it for me. I don't always want to read chat. I don't always want to respond. I want to just be in my own bubble doing my own thing. And I didn't do it for that game. And I only have like 2 Switch reviews. That and a Yoshi game, which I didn't really care about. I smashed that Yoshi game in like 2 days. That was nothing. It's Yoshi. I mean, it's easy. Yeah. Like it was no problem. I'll review the next Yoshi game too. It's probably easy. Watch, I say that and they bring Yoshi Island style back and we're just in trouble now. But I didn't balance it and I regret it. I could have put out the review late. It didn't even get that good of views anyways. If I was going to review it, I could have just Okay, I get to start a week early, but I don't have to like rush through it. So my advice is play the game at your pace, because if you rush it, it does affect your opinion.
Yep.
It's not how you would normally play. If you're someone that smashes games and plays 10 hours a day and rushes through, and that's just how you always play, cool. Then play it that way. But if you don't, then it's gonna actually shape your opinion of the game and shape your review or your content that you're making on it. Because while I do think the first, Mario plus Rabbids game is a little bit better, I also think that Sparks of Hope, having actually gone back and replayed it at a slower pace 2 years ago, or last year, it's better than I remember it being.
Yeah.
Because I was so focused on we got to get to the next point, the next story point, the next this, the next that I didn't take in the world as much as I would have. I didn't do all the side missions as much as I would have done as well. And it ended up being a much more enjoyable experience. And I realized that's how I play games. And guys, you saw, I didn't rush to beat Tears of the Kingdom. When did I beat it? It came out in May? I think I beat it in July. Old me would have been, shit, we got to beat that in a week.
I'm still doing stuff in it.
I don't play games that way. So why would I force myself to do that? And one thing I think is really cool, if you're a content creator and you think, well, I have to get out, it's all about timing. It's all about timing. Arlo, I think he's a really good example of this. He put out a review of Breath of the Wild years later. And that's one of the most watched reviews of the game there is.
Yeah, it's about
the way he did it, obviously.
It's like 4 hours long.
Yeah, it's a really long review. But the point is, he didn't rush through. You don't have to rush through to create content. Now, I don't know what type of channel you are. If you're a gameplay channel, there's already full walkthroughs of Echoes of Wisdom up and dropped today, right? Those people rush through. They probably played it illegally, or they had a review copy and they rushed through and put it up. But I think always, if you're truly a gamer, always play it at your own pace, unless money's on the line. If you're paid and it's your job, you got to do what you got to do. It's not your job, and you're the content creator and you get to make the choice. Don't play it in a way that's not enjoyable. That's my take. Anyone else want to throw in on that?
Yeah, I will.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
I'll also say that I agree with you. Is that, and what's up, Boo Mini? I talk with Boo Mini a lot too. Yeah, when it comes to reviewing games, you have to play it at your own pace and play it like you normally would. And playing video games for some people is like sacred, especially when it comes to certain games. Like for instance, Zelda tomorrow. There's I want to get my review out in a timely manner, right? But I am in no way am I going to rush through it. And I don't understand why people try to beat video games as quick as they can, unless like they're speed running and that's what they're into. And if you're into that, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know why anyone would want to rush to an ending if you're having a good time. You know what I'm saying? Like the party doesn't have to end.
Yeah.
There's usually a lot more content in the game. There's side quests. Sometimes there's weapons, like really cool weapons or armor or stuff in the game that you never even get. You didn't even know it existed because you didn't do this side quest that leads to that side quest that leads to two more. And then if you do all of them, then you get, the basically the armor and the shield and the sword, stuff like that, man. Like they put that in video games all the time, and you miss out on that stuff when you rush through things. So, yeah. And also, yeah, great example of that Arlo Breath of the Wild review. Totally. Years later.
Yeah. And I get pressure as a content creator. I'm a news person. Sometimes I'll rush a news story out. And there's even times I regret that because the story will evolve over the course of the day and I could add a much better, more in-depth video if I waited. And I feel that crunch sometimes, but that's news. Let's be honest. That's different than committing 40, 50 hours to a game, you know? And that's in today's games, you're committing hundreds of hours, not just 40 to 50 these days. So, all right. Thank you so much for the question, Boomini. I appreciate it. Next up, we had, let's see, $5 in from Demonic Brawler saying, I just hope that most cloud versions of games that are on Switch 1 get a native version for Switch 2. Look, if Kingdom Hearts doesn't get a native version, I'm going to be so mad.
It's up to the developer. At the end,
Give us
I
some
expect
native
it.
on Switch, at least 1 and 2.
yeah,
Come on.
I
yeah.
expect native versions. I expect physical versions as well.
Yeah, physical.
Physical collector's editions.
What-
Please.
Was it
Gold.
Control one of them that got? Was that cloud only? Control on Switch?
Control, I think so.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Control was top.
Resident Evil, of
And
course.
Control, by the way, is a showcase game for DLSS. So what are we doing?
Yeah. No.
It's literally been
yeah.
used as a showcase game.
Yep.
Switch 2, baby.
Yeah,
Runs on Steam Deck.
Yeah.
yeah.
I expect all those cloud games because Resident Evil are the other. That's definitely a few other
The
ones.
question is cloud? Are we going to get more cloud games in Switch 2?
I doubt it.
Or is it finally crossed the threshold where it's like just good enough that third parties will just go native?
Yeah.
I think it would be native at this point.
I hope it crossed the threshold. I mean, I understand PlayStation 6 will be out before the next Nintendo system after it, but look how long cross-gen lasted with 5. Like, it's just going to happen again.
PS5 Pro is a good thing for Switch too because it's going to prolong the generation. So
Yeah, it'll prolong cross-gen.
it's all good.
Yeah, I think it's going to last more. I mean, look at now. I mean, even look at like PlayStation 4 Pro and everything. Look at now. We're only just now starting to get like more consistent exclusive PS5 games, and it's right at the end of the generation for Switch.
Yeah.
That's about to happen again, except on the platform that's actually getting the third-party games.
Yep.
Cool. Next one up here, we have Demonic Brawler again for $5. Says a new 3D Mario game will be so impressive it'll look like Danny DeVito dressed in overalls skipping in a field of shrooms.
That's not a question. It's a statement.
Yeah,
Right.
that's not a question. That's
right,
just a fact.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
I didn't call it a statement. That's a fact.
Danny
Hypothesis.
DeVito is the best penguin ever.
This is for Mike Odyssey. A big twist would be if they reference the Oracle games as if to say next 2D Zelda will be a remake of those games or the third. Oh, if they reference
That would
it.
be cool. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
please.
Zelda does that every once in a while. There'll be a reference in the game that teases the next.
Yep.
It happens sometimes.
I thought those would be
Good
the
chance.
next top-down games.
I think they are like the next ones after this. I would think.
Yeah.
And this guy Darius is just insane. He's got a number of these. For some reason, just randomly dropping $28 Canadian super chats. I don't know what's going on, but thank you so much for the support. The show appreciates it for sure. The Mod Brawler comes back again. It says, will Switch 2 be compatible with the Express SD cards?
Yep.
I think, yeah. Well, compatible, yes. Will it allow the speeds? I think yes. I think they will allow the full speeds of the new Express cards.
We gotta wait for them to announce that. But we'll see.
Yeah.
It seems like it will be.
I think they'll allow it. Now, again, remember, those cards are going to be expensive.
Mhm.
They're expensive compared to normal. But for people that care about, it trying to match close to the internal memory speed,
Yeah.
like having it as an option, there's no reason not to. It's just
Right.
going to be expensive. But by the way, they will still support normal SD cards. I don't think that's going away. So the normal micro ones will still support. But you'll have slower game loading, slower cutscenes, or load screens, and
Mhm.
kind of will get the trade out. I'll be curious if Nintendo will, because they don't talk tech.
Yeah.
But someone's got to mention that there's an advantage to using the Express ones if there is one. It just won't be Nintendo, I don't think.
Well, if they're selling you more expensive SD cards than themselves, then they definitely will explain why it's
And
beneficial to buy it.
branded.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if they partner up with Nintendo branded, they'll be like, this is the best, fastest, whatever,
Yep.
Your games load 30% fast. God, Nintendo just doesn't use that. This is a different Nintendo though. They also used to never mention tech, and then they call the system an OLED. So I mean,
Yeah, they need to hire Jensen, like Hmon says, just to get him to
Jensen.
sell that stuff.
If you guys don't know, if you've never watched an NVIDIA presentation, it's the most cringe presentation you'll ever see. He might announce the coolest shit and make it sound like the dumbest stuff ever. Like it just doesn't. Or like
Bleeding edge.
the bleeding edge, like what was it? That AI bar scene or whatever, trying to show off how advanced AI had become with them. I'm like, what are we doing? No, this is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. This is the dumbest way to introduce AI. What are we doing? Video games are going to be.
As long as it's not an unprecedented partnership, we're fine.
That's EA. We're not worried about EA. All right. EA still might not go all in on Switch 2. They're the one company I haven't heard from yet, besides FC coming over. God, we don't even have The Sims 4 on Switch, and it's like the perfect audience for it. What are we doing? That game's been out like 20 years at this point or some shit. All right, $20 from NB saying, "Do you think Link Between Worlds will ever be ported to the Switch or Switch 2? And would you all want to see it brought over? It's my favorite Zelda game." I think it will be added at one point to NSO. I think it'll be 3DS NSO eventually.
Yep.
Maybe I'm crazy for saying that. I don't know.
Yeah. No, you're not. You're not. You're not. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, would it ever get remade or remastered? Probably at some point, but I think it'll be a while for that one. I think they'll get to the other handheld entries first.
All we know for sure is that Nintendo will add a tagline that says, "But please be aware that there will be no mention of the Nintendo Switch successor during this presentation."
After the successor's already, and then you mean Switch 2 successor.
Yeah.
Oh shit! Nintendo's going to start the Switch 3 conversation year one, aren't they?
Yeah.
What's going to happen, or like Switch 2? You know what? Everyone jokes around on my channel. Well, once Switch 2 is announced, what's next? I'm like, well, there were rumors back in the day when Switch was announced that there was going to be a Switch Pro coming sooner than later. And that was in year one of the system.
Oh my god.
Anyone remember those rumors back in the day?
That was before the console even came out.
Yeah,
Actually,
that
it
was before it
in,
even came out, yeah.
Foxconn.
That was insane. Like, oh, they're just rushing this out now because of Wii U. The real version, the true version they're trying to make is going to come out a couple years later. Oh, I remember those. Yeah. Whether there was truth to it ever or not doesn't matter because it never came out. But man, that was crazy. That was crazy. So yeah, prepare for Switch 2 Pro rumors year one because it'll probably happen.
Sure.
It won't be the focus of my channel, but we'll if there's any legit person talking about it, not just 4chan, we'll see.
Definitely a Switch 2 OLED talk will be pretty quick, I bet.
Oh, I bet you. Yeah, everyone's going to want an OLED quick because some people will even note day one that, like, hey, the screen doesn't look as good as when I was playing on OLED. I'm like, yeah, no. Yeah, the colors aren't as good. You're not wrong.
And if there is any issues with battery life, maybe if it's like 3 to 5 hours, they'll say, here's a revision with better battery life.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if Switch 2 Lite combo comes up real quick because that was the first thing to come out. They'll probably, and here's the thing: when we say combo, it's because it'll already be in development. The system's going to come out, and they're already working on Switch 2 Lite. That's just how it works. Nintendo's always working on the next thing. So, Darius narrates this again. I told you there's multiple of these. He just keeps dropping the 28s. That's not the same one. That is a new one. Thank you so much, man. Joyce J coming in, moderator, Zelda expert extraordinaire, and also a member of Mike Odyssey's podcast. Speculation on when we will get more Zelda movie details.
Tomorrow. Tomorrow morning. We'll wake up, and then Shigeru Miyamoto and Aruma said, hey, Shigeru Miyamoto and Avid Arad will put a tweet out and says, guys, and Wes Ball, the director, will say, hey guys, guess what? We're working on a Legend of Zelda movie. And Zelda will be in it, and Link will be in it, and Ganon will probably be in it. And there will be a Tingle in it, and The Rock will play Tingle.
Oh, jeez. So,
Joyce, Mike, aren't you supposed to be in the corner?
Yeah, right. I think June next year, their June Direct, because I think the show will be out by then, and I think they'll show Zelda. And when they show the Zelda game, they'll either before or right after they'll transition into revealing the cast for the movie. I think it'll be June next year.
Yeah.
They might even have an associated clip. Yeah, I'm not going to say they're going to show a trailer for it, but they might have a little 10-second tease of one of the actors doing something.
But the movie is currently in pre-production right now. Officially pre-production. Yeah. So they're taking care of the casting. I think we're going to hear the casting before the year ends. That's what I think. The casting of the movie before this year ends.
Yeah, you said tomorrow, apparently.
Yeah, well, not tomorrow, but more seriously, I think it's going to be more before the year ends. Right now, they're taking care of the casting, scouting, all that stuff, budgeting, and I've been doing a lot of research on the movie for a video that I'm working on, and so and Avida Ra, if you go to West Balls, that sounds horrible. West Ball.
Yeah, you go to West Balls over there.
If you go to West Ball, his X account, then I'll say a couple of months ago he had Planet of the Apes, soon to be exploring Hyrule. Now he says now exploring Hyrule, and then a whole bunch of stuff. So
that's what he's currently working on right now.
Yeah. So exciting stuff.
Anyone else want to take a stab when we hear anything at all next officially?
Next Direct.
I think. Yeah, next Direct. I mean, I don't know.
Well, when do you think the next?
We do a mini Direct for just that.
Right.
They randomly announce.
I mean, they announced the Mario movie in the cast in a regular direct when everybody went nuts over Chris Pratt and Mario. That was like just dropped in a regular direct.
You mean when everyone got mad? I don't know
Yeah.
about going nuts. They got angry. It's like a mob.
Yeah. Like a mob.
It kind of was. Online it was. I don't know if that was obviously the case, in general. Because Chris Pratt's pretty popular.
Man, so was mob from Twitter.
I think we'll hear next year.
Next year? Yeah, see, I'm thinking June next year. Because then they'll be well into like actually probably at that point recording things and much more confident that they're not going to be replacing any cast members and everything.
Yeah, I think it'll align too with probably some Zelda stuff on Switch.
And I could see maybe, this is going way out there. I was going to say maybe first trailer by the end of next year. Maybe.
Yeah.
Depends on like, I don't know if do we even know the exact target date from when they want it to come out?
They haven't done anything.
Yeah, that's why I'm like, so we may not get. Maybe we wait until 2026.
Well, I think it's 2026 for the 40th anniversary.
Yeah,
That would
would
make
make
sense.
They want it out by holiday that year. That'd be nice.
I do think
Yeah.
they're gonna do their announcement in phases, like with the Mario movie. Like
Sure,
the
I think they'll announce the cast.
I do too.
I think the cast matters more than ever for this one. It's not just voice.
Yeah, they might announce part of the cast, the entire cast, and then in future directs they'll just have the cast.
If they announce the cast with them in costume, that would be sick.
Sure.
That would be cool. I don't know if they'll do it. They might save that for the trailer, but that would be cool if they were in full costume.
Keanu Reeves as Luigi. What?
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Woohoo.
Demonic Brawler came back with this was to make me chug. Yeah. You guys don't know how if this works, guys. Usually on our Q&A streams we have a 69 goal and we're on a streak now. It's been almost 2 straight months. So at 69 I chug a beer, and then 150 you can add 2 to the streak and I'll chug another beer. But I'll also do it on any stream I'm doing, including the podcast, and everyone knows, or at least not everyone, but my loyal followers know. And it happened tonight. We hit 69 exact, and then we crossed 150 as well. Thank you so much. Demonic Brawler was part of that. Darius Neris finally said something for one of these 28. It took $3 $28 super chats before he finally says something. He said, will they incorporate a Dave Matthews Band song like they did with Tiger Woods PGA Tour 2004? Well, that is a callback. Dave Matthews Band song? Man. Like, I'm trying to think, like, if Nintendo incorporate, like, I'm trying to think of, like, even the Switch commercials. They had a pretty decent song in one of them. I think it's going to be whatever's popular in the moment. Like, they're going to try to find someone who's really big now, to put in a song for a Switch 2 trailer or a commercial.
Yeah, it's got to make sense.
I mean, Paul Gale Network, he starred in 2 of them. He was in 2 Nintendo Switch commercials. Granted, one was just the back of his head, but still. He was in it. And it was probably all the same shoot, but whatever. Paul Gale Network maybe has a little inside track on maybe a music they might be using. I don't know. Because if I instantly go to, well, it's got to be Taylor Swift. She's the biggest thing in the world.
Yeah.
I'd love it if they dropped the Houdini track. Because the Houdini track references the past. So you can reference the past. Like you can have the old Switch getting replaced by the new Young Gun Switch coming in. The guy walks in wearing the same clothes as the original Switch commercial, but with the new thing. Nice. Sorry, I love the Houdini track. I like Eminem. So
John Cena was in
he was.
Like
what would they do? Get Cody Rhodes now to come in and be in one?
Yeah.
Or maybe no. They got to go with the redemption arc now for the former tribal chief.
I mean, Cody's a huge Zelda fan too.
Yeah, Cody is a huge Zelda fan.
Yeah.
Especially if the Ocarina of Time remake is in the that'd be sick.
That would be.
So thank you so much for that. Obviously, we have no idea what music they're going to use. Chris Gonzalez, will y'all each tell your favorite game ever, any system?
Yeah. Mine was Ocarina of Time. Now it's Tears. I'm just a massive Zelda fan.
Okay.
So pretty simple for me.
What do you got, Mike?
Mario 3 tied with Mario Wonder.
All right. Dave?
Metroid Prime. GameCube.
Eric?
Conker's Bad Fur Day.
Yes! And the great mighty Pooh in the corner, baby.
Right?
Yes, I have the first 4-figure Great Mighty Pooh. Let's go. What do we
That's
got?
good. Yeah, I really don't have a favorite game, but if I gave you
BRB.
one, it would be Ocarina of Time.
Okay, Ocarina of Time.
Yeah.
For me, everyone pretty much knows it's Tears of the Kingdom. So it was already stated though. So I'll go with my second. It should be Breath of the Wild, right? It should be, but actually, Tears of the Kingdom made me knock Breath of the Wild down a notch. It's back to Secret of Mana, number 2. So Secret of Mana is now my number 2. Was my former number 1, by the way, for most of my life. So like Secret of Mana, one of the best Mana games ever. One of the best RPGs ever, JRPGs ever. I love it.
It is. How'd you like that remake?
No. I pretend it doesn't exist. I'll go get the SNES Classic out and play Nintendo's little emulated version. I'm good.
Did you ever play it 3 players?
Yes, one time.
Was it fun?
It was fine. Like I got so used to playing single player, it felt weird that I couldn't control the other characters. And 3-player was a very hard setup because US it's only 2-player with the 2 controllers.
Yeah, you need the multi-tap.
They needed the multi-tap, yeah. So, but I did once. A friend of mine had the multi-tap, and it was fine. To me, it's like Crystal Chronicles before Crystal Chronicles came out. When you have all 3, Final Fantasy, Crystal Chronicles with all that, yeah. So it was fun, but yeah, it was always weird with 2 players because we'd always fight over who's going to switch to the third, tell it what to do,
right?
But yeah, no, it was an interesting experience. But I obviously I played a lot of it solo. So
yeah.
All right. Then we got Frank May came over for $5. So what kind of grip do you all use on your current Switch? You think they're going to make Switch 2 more ergonomic and comfortable? So this is a 2-part. Let's start with the grip. Did any of you guys use the grip?
Nope. Not anymore.
Just the Nitro.
Yeah, we had this. I think we had this asked last week too. Yeah.
I play in dock mode, and I think Switch 2, there was part of the leak that had mentioned a plastic case for it, which I think Nintendo might be including in the system.
Like the include one, maybe. Yeah.
I think it'll be with more ergonomic for handheld mode like this. So,
Dave, do you use any grips on your Switch?
No. Mm-mm.
No. Okay.
No.
So I used the Skull and Bone for a long time, and then I switched to the Tears of the Kingdom edition of the
Satisfy.
The Satisfy after they came out with the one that you could actually dock and not take it off your Switch. And I was using that actually for most of last year, but then I don't know. At some point, I took it off because I needed to take my Joy-Cons out, and I just never put it back on. The truth is, I don't actually play in handheld very much. When I do, I play Fortnite on Switch with my fiance. I literally just take my Switch and I put it on like one of those little tablet pillow holders, and I play with a Pro controller because she's using the big projector. I don't get to. God forbid I get to dock mine. So I'm like, no, I'm gonna use the Pro controller because it's just more comfortable. But I do play in handheld sometimes. It's just when I realize when I'm in handheld, I'm not playing for like 2, 3, 4 hours. I'm playing for like quick half hour, 45 minutes maybe. And I don't actually need a grip to enjoy that for a half hour, 45. That's about the limit before it starts to be like, okay, my hands are kind of cramping up. But yeah, it's fine. But yeah, I have used grips. Like I played a lot of handheld with grips in the past. I just don't currently. I also think of towards the end of the generation where I'm just not playing in handheld as much right now because most of the games I wanted to do that with, I already have. All right. We had Demont Brawler come in with $5 saying this just in: Nintendo gets 3DO for NSO on Switch.
On game.
Roadmap Road Rash.
That'd be cool.
They already have a Road Rash on N64 that they could bring over.
It could, yeah.
Not
So,
that they.
I'd
That's a
like
good
3DO.
game.
I'd like them to get a hold of Atari and get some licensing rights there and get Atari stuff over. They did it with Sega. I hope they go further with Sega too. I'd like to see Dreamcast on the NSO
Game
someday.
Gear.
Oh yeah, Dreamcast.
Game Gear
for
too.
sure.
Game Gear too. Yeah.
Saturn. That's what it's
Sure.
Yeah, Saturn and give me Die Hard Arcade.
Oh yeah.
Love that
Is
game.
that the giant?
This
screen
is it's like that one, but it's another brand.
Yeah,
And
dinner.
this right here, this screen is it's a LED screen, but it's the what do you call it? The LPD, whatever. Metal just mentioned it earlier.
I have no idea.
IPS.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's very bright. It's very colorful. It's like when I put it side to side about the OLED, it actually looks very good. So this could be like a
Oh yeah, IPS is very popular on PC gaming.
yeah. So this could be the closest thing you can get for the Nintendo Switch in big mode. So this is my handheld, guys. This is how I paint my handheld mode games because I can't see the screen. It's too small for me. But this is the guy.
Yeah, he's
What brand is that?
side issues. Yep.
It's G Story. It's by G Story. They make the
okay.
Oh yeah.
They do. I got their portable screen for the.
That looks a lot better than that one that we had before.
yeah. This one you dock. You see you dock it back there, and it has like the little stand here. You can actually stand it up if you want, and it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Cool when you put it in there. Is it full dock mode? That'd be sick.
Oh yeah. It is dock mode when you.
Yeah. I was gonna say it does it with dock mode. That's how those things work.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Does it take an external battery? Like, can you add battery?
Yeah, it does. Actually,
That's like the other one. Okay.
you buy these batteries right here. These are different batteries. They look like AAA's, but they're not. They're
Rechargeables.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, I know. Yeah, I've seen those before.
yeah, they're
A little bit of an odd size. Yeah,
18650s. They're like bigger than AA's.
yeah, sure.
It'll give you about 4 hours of gameplay.
Yeah, dude, dock mode gameplay on that. Let's go.
Yeah, and
Ordered.
they come with the recharging stand, so you can actually recharge it too.
So our final question, unless I missed someone in the chat, I'll double check. Says, while playing Echoes of Wisdom, who's going to use the amiibos?
Not me.
I'll probably use them a little bit just to like mess around with what they are. Like I saw already Austin John Plays video. I didn't watch his whole video because apparently the amiibos change functionality later in the game, and I didn't want to know what that was. I did not want to know. So I do know that, and I don't think this is that big of a spoiler. So when you scan them in the beginning of the game, you just get like materials to make smoothies. Okay, cool. That's just like Tears of the Kingdom Breath of the Wild. I don't think it's but apparently later in the game you unlock something else they can do, and I don't know what it is. And apparently the game will prompt you. I don't. My question is it like, because I don't want to know the answer. I want to find out, but in my mind I'm going like, okay, what is this that you unlock later? Like,
I can make an echo.
No, because like, what if there is some exclusive things, like exclusive costumes tied to the amiibo? I would totally scan the amiibo.
That might be how you unlock Echo the Dolphin.
Yeah. There you go. But that's what I'm saying, though. They could do exclusive cosmetics or something like that to the amiibo, and maybe that's what you unlock later. That to me would be a reason to actually use your amiibo. So
We'll find out.
yeah. Dude, I got dude right here. These are all the Zelda ones right here.
Nice.
Yeah, let's go.
Nice.
Right here.
Best deal ever.
Ready to go. I'm still.
I got this too. But I should just buy every single amiibo in this form.
I did that.
There's an amiibo app, right? It works.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the amiibo app works too. Yeah, if you have a NFC capable phone, which most modern phones are capable of NFC. So, all right, yeah. Dave's just out. Nope, not touching him. I know anything I get will be in the game.
I have one amiibo. It's Mario, but I got back in like 2014 when they first came out. So
Might give you something.
Yeah.
never was interested again.
Give you a hydromelon. I need that one hydromelon extra now for my. Anyways, gotta make smoothies. I'm so glad they added smoothies. It's just it's so a total Zelda team thing to do. Oh yeah, we're gonna have some sort of recipe thing. It's smoothies. All right, cool.
Yeah.
So you can make smoothies.
What's that? It did. I'm all in if the next 3D Zelda game lets us make mixed alcoholic beverages instead of just having set alcoholic beverages, because alcohol is not new to the Zelda series. You start let me make my own custom Bloody Mary. I'm in. I'll buy all the amiibo for those ingredients.
Yeah.
They'll never do it. They might add some more alcoholic beverages in the game, but then it's going to be all Zelda themed, like in some of the games where the milk is the alcohol.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
See that?
But Gerudo Town in Breath of the Wild legit had a quest line that involved alcohol. I was like, dude, I can't believe they put this in the game. This is sick.
Mhm.
This is where the thing on the rating board said, it had the alcohol warning. It was like, yeah, because there's literally a quest in there that deals with alcohol at the bar. It's great. All right, guys. I think that's going to do it for our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for all the super chats and the questions as well. Obviously, the actual podcast ended, probably about an hour ago, maybe a bit more than that. But hey, we've been getting a lot of questions the last 2 weeks. I love answering them. I want to thank our guests for obviously sticking through all the way to the end. That doesn't happen on a lot of shows, especially when we get this many super chat questions in. If you guys want just the individual topics for this, just know we have the Nintenbyte Podcast. What was it? Clips channel. You guys can go check out. All the clips are going up right now. Shout out to Yulia. She edited all those clips for me. Those are all going out right now. We had one yesterday, one today, one tomorrow. And then once we get to the end of that, we'll have the ones coming out from this week as well. The one topic we might skip is the Echoes of Wisdom one, because by the time that one comes out, we'll be dropping our podcast review at that point. So I might skip that one. But that's okay. We have lots to get into, lots of stuff to talk about next week. Let's go ahead and around the room quick. Let people know what we got going on, where we can find us. Let's start with our guests, starting with Super Metal Dave. What do you got going on, and where can they find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I had a really fun time. Lots of jokes in the chat. We had a fun back and forth there. But yeah, thanks for having me on. You can find me at Super Metal Dave 64 on YouTube, S Metal Dave 64 on Twitter. I cover lots of Metroid, like Metroid Prime 4 is coming up, obviously soon. So I'm doing videos on that. Switch 2, of course. I like to talk tech a lot. And I do live streams. I play full game playthroughs live. So if you want to come and chat, have some fun, by all means, come check me out.
Hell yeah. Mike Odyssey, what you got going on? Where can they find you?
What's up, guys? Welcome to the Odyssey. Well, you can find me at the Mike Odyssey channel, Monday through Friday. Videos, mostly now since Nintendo Switch 2. And Nintenbyte Podcast every Friday night live. We have, there's a new show called the Nintenbyte Mini. Nintenbyte's Mini. It's basically like a 15-minute episode, kind of podcast related, where I have other people talking about games. Also coming up soon. So it's like a mini version of the podcast, but in video form. That's going to be the second video of the afternoon. And of course, on the Indie Media channel, we started a new podcast called Indie Spotlight, and I interview all the developers that were on the show. Every interview has a giveaway. There is the first one is on there right now. So if you would like to check that out, it's on the Indie Mania YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe there. Look at the interview, and then at the end, it's really easy how to enter a giveaway to get codes for the game that we're interviewing. So every single interview will have digital codes for you guys to be able to experience the game. Which, by the way, today's podcast, the game launched today. So it's an everyday story by Cactus Production. Really good game. So yeah, Mike Odyssey channel and the Indie Media channel.
Awesome. Mm-hmm. Game Junction.
Yep, you can find me on YouTube at Game Junction Media, on Facebook, Twitter, all those under Game Junction. I'm going to have something coming out on Zelda, and I also filmed if you care about PlayStation, PSVR 2 video. So I'll have that out soon.
Nice. Hey, you got some new announcements this week.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wait, you're not watch the State of Play?
Yeah.
First you're live streaming it. So.
Yeah. Yep.
Eric.
Yep, I'm here.
Is it nice to have a camera where the battery doesn't die?
Right. I'm crispy.
Yeah, you actually look.
I'm here and crispy.
You're not beautified by my iPhone today.
Yeah, no.
Shout out to Obsbot, by the way, for sending me the Tiny Meat too. That's what we're using it for them. Shout out. They're a future sponsor for a different thing that has nothing to do with that particular camera. But I appreciate they sent it to me anyways.
This thing is tiny.
Well, that's the whole point. It's
I know.
Tiny Meat too.
Wait,
freaking
who makes it?
Obsbot.
Hey, I'm with them now. Partner thing. So
I have no idea what you're talking about, but that's awesome.
Yeah, they have a partner program thingy.
I have no clue. I just have a sponsorship from them. It is what it is. There might be multiple. They were just playing by. Yeah, but it's not for that camera. It's for a completely different camera that I'm currently not using on the show. I'm so sorry. Sorry, Oswald. That camera didn't make sense for this show. It'll make sense for the video, though. It's actually an ad, so yay. By the way, shout out to Oswald they wanted the dedicated video and they agreed to an ad, and that makes me very happy because most people want dedicated videos and won't budge. And I'm like, no, I want your product to get seen. Stop with the dedicated videos. So shout out to Ozbot. They've been very, very friendly, very easy to work with. And I like their products. So, Thunderstash, what do you got going on? Where can they find you?
Yeah, you can find me at Thunderstash Gaming on YouTube. And most recently, posted my review for the Plucky Squire.
Yes, you did.
And check that out.
That thing's got some views now.
Yeah. And the Karate Kid. I posted my review for that a day or two ago. That was a fun one to review. Fun game to play. It's a game mill game, so you can't expect much, but you'll see. I was pleasantly surprised. I had to upload that video 3 times,
Man.
to get past all the copyrights.
That's insane.
With Karate Kid, yeah. But it was fun.
Well, it was a thing. You know what? For the effort, I'll put it in the community post tonight.
Oh, hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I swear I went in there because I watched the whole thing and I was like, yes. What I like. Gotta share this.
It was fun, man.
All right, man. And then you guys know what's up with me. I'm Nathaniel Rumpel-Jantz, the person who runs Nintendo Prime, the host of the show. I just want to, again, give a shout out to all of the viewers out there. You guys have made the last couple shows absolutely epic. Last week, we set an all-time record for the show. We have nearly 13,000 views on that episode. It's the highest viewed podcast of all time across anything we've done on Nintendo Prime. So thank you for that. This week, again, we were well over 300, 400 live at some points. Like it's insane. This is probably our second most viewed podcast episode of all time. The Switch 2 hype is real. I think we know what's happening. We know what's up. We know why you're all here. It ain't for the Echoes of Wisdom topic. It was here for the Switch 2. I get it.
Aww.
I don't know what the hell's going to happen. Yeah, sorry, Eric. They're here for you, too. They're here for you, too. But yeah, I just really want to thank you guys. Have been incredible with the support. The super chats have been absolutely insane. Yeah, it's been making the podcast extend like an extra hour. But you know what? I appreciate it. You're supporting the show. You're keeping the show going. You're encouraging me to keep trying to invent new things to do with the show and new topics and new directions for the future. Shout out obviously to our fellow co-hosts as well that are here every single week at Eric Thunderstash and the brand new one in Game Junction. So I had to have a core 4 every week that's reliable and dedicated and wants to be here. That's hard to do. It's hard to put together for any channel to have a show of dedicated people. It's all volunteer basis. And I really appreciate these guys. And maybe one day it won't be volunteer based. And maybe one day there's some checks being cut. I don't know. We'll see where this show goes. If it keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, at some point I got to be like, man, it's time to start cutting some checks. That'd be great. But thank you. Shout out to the audience. Our audio version's been growing as well. We have our first ever episode cross 200 audio views from last week. That's awesome to see the audio version grow as well. Obviously growing at a much slower pace, but still growing. And growing is what matters as we head into a new generation for Nintendo. So thank you guys so much. Thank you to Super Metal Dave and Mike Odyssey as well. Both longtime guests on multiple podcasts and multiple shows and just friends behind the scenes. Always encouraging each other and myself and everyone else out there when things are going not always great. So thank you guys so much for your support as well. We'll get you guys on future episodes, of course. Mike's on in a month. That's why I made the joke about how he's kicked off for a month. He's on again in a month. Metal, we don't have set a new date yet, but I'm sure we'll get one set sometime soon. But thank you, too, for being here as well and sticking out to the end. And thanks to all you guys. You can follow Nintendo Prime everywhere because I am the only Nintendo Prime that matters. There's a couple out there that I don't even know what's going on. I don't even know the username.
T-shirt.
What? I don't have a T-shirt.
The only Nintendo Prime that matters.
This is Into the AM. You can go to intotheam.com right now for 10% off. Nintendo Prime 10. Nintendo Prime 10. Thank you so much. They're not even a sponsor anymore.
Are we wearing costumes on the Halloween episode?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I am.
I try to.
I'm not making people wear it.
I'll be Donkey Kong. I got a Donkey Kong costume somewhere. So
I'm
telling people what I am. You gotta worry about it. It might not even be Nintendo related. I know what Yulia's wearing, and I'm very excited for hers. She picked a very good costume this year. I'm surprised at the costume she picked since she's not even a huge fan of the thing she picked. She just likes how they look in a video game. I'm like, cool. I'll take it.
You're gonna match your costume?
No, probably not. Because I told her, I'm like, it's really hard to match that costume. Yeah. And she's like, I don't care. I'm like, all right, then I'll be myself. Then I'll figure it out. Eric, I don't know if he's going to dress up at all because he hasn't dressed up in forever, but you never know. Maybe he'll throw the panda suit on I got laying around.
There you go.
I know he'll wear the squirrel mask the entire show.
Yes.
The entire show, you'd be so hot and sweating in that thing.
I got fans for my butt.
Yeah, but not your face.
Yeah, true.
Anyways, it sounds like almost everyone's going to be in costume, so I don't know what the guests will be in. Well, Mike Odyssey will be in costume. I don't know who else is on that episode yet, but all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Been a fun episode. That was episode 2 of the Nintenbyte Podcast. We don't have an outro yet. I promise one's coming. Catch you guys.